Well, hello everybody, and welcome to the show today. Very happy to have you here. Hopefully, everybody had themselves a really good weekend. I know that Thunder and I are getting ready for. We're real excited about it too. We're going to be talking about the fact that we have a new moon night, and it's a black lesbian lady.
Yeah,
Doctor Who is now a black gay man.
that's right.
And every movie is all girl all the time. Yo yo baby, all the way to 2025. They're gonna make fortunes.
Yay!
Yay.
That no, it won't. In
Yeah,
fact, because
fortunes.
I know Hollywood doesn't like to hear this, but it's true. Nobody wants to watch women. Sorry, we
Well,
don't. We don't want to watch women do things that we typically men do historically. We just
yeah.
don't. And
Well,
it's not because we hate women or anything
no,
like
no.
that. It's got nothing to do with any of that. It's just men are better at it. A
Well,
badass chick can
it's true.
pull it off. That
Oh,
can be
sure.
done,
It's happened.
but it's an extremely special woman that can pull that off. And
Yeah.
we just don't have that in Hollywood right now. Who is it? Where's she
No,
at?
right
Where's the
now,
bad
no.
bitch?
Emily Blunt was the
Yeah,
last one. She could pull
yeah.
it off.
We don't have them.
We don't have it, yeah. But no, no. I mean, there's plenty of roles women are awesome at. But I think the
Absolutely.
thing that you and I are acknowledging, but the real reality is that the people who are turning down their demographic they're going after are actually the ladies. So I'm kind of
Yeah.
wondering why they're not yelling at them. I mean, it's really weird, right? They come at us and say, "Hey, these movies are not for you. They're not for you.
That's right.
Bad, bad. Don't you touch.
So we
Don't
don't
look."
go to it. We're like, all right, cool.
Right, of course not. Because I mean, it's their property, it's their IP. They can do whatever they want with it. I mean,
Hmm.
that's the reality. But we don't go as we're told. We're good boys. We listen, and then we get blamed for it, even though the demographic they're chasing is the one that didn't go. And you would think they would have something to say to them, the ladies, but they don't.
Yeah.
It's weird. It's almost
It's very strange.
illogical.
Hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah. No, it's stupid is what
Yeah.
it is.
Yeah.
There's a lot of reasons why they do these things. They're almost all ideological. They still, for some reason, now I think the people at the top making the actual decisions, they're not dumb. They're just zealots. They're
Yeah. It's
ideologues.
ESG shit. Yeah.
And they
Thanks,
they
Roger.
know that they have to do what they have to do, and they're going to keep pushing certain things for that reason, for one, and for two,
Mhm.
because they're true believers. I
Some.
don't believe for 1 second that Bob Iger's not a true believer. He must be. He has to be at this point,
I think
because
he might be.
everything on
Yeah.
his plate, everything on in his company, all his financials are horrendous. There's no way they're good, but yeah, he just keeps going. He just doubles down and doubles down. He's got to be a true believer. Either that or he's a complete fucking moron, and we know he's not that. So
Mhm. No,
what is it?
he might well be a true believer. It does seem unlikely he wouldn't be. And of course, Kathleen Kennedy's just an angry black lady.
At heart, yes.
Yeah, at heart. So 'cause she's
Yeah, I
just
don't get it.
wrecking
I
shit.
don't get it. I mean, I understand Disney. Take Disney out of it, but the other companies who still won't pivot, what more do you need to see? Every movie that was a major success last year, save for one, was because it wasn't this bullshit. It was just a movie. It
Yeah,
was just a good
just
movie.
fun. Yeah,
The only one that wasn't, and that did have some of the BS in it, has one of the most powerful brands in the world, and it was its first outing that women have literally been waiting their entire lives to see.
yeah,
So it was an event to go
it
do it. It had
was.
nothing to do. That movie could have been about literally nothing, and it would have still made $1 billion,
Yeah,
guaranteed.
and they didn't really know that was going to be the fact though, but now they do. So
Yep.
maybe in the future they'll get an actual good Barbie movie. It's possible. Yeah,
It's kind of
yeah,
like how much money Endgame made. Of course it did. You did everything you needed to do for 10 years to build hype for this moment, for
hmm
this movie.
hmm
You killed it. They did a fantastic job with the MCU up until Endgame by and large. There was some, nonsense here or there and some hits or misses, but for the most part they did everything very well. And it paid off. They made outrageous amounts of money off of
That's
Endgame.
true. Yeah. No, that's absolutely true. And I can hear you, Elrod, out there, and then the Erics and the other ones like you. I can hear you about the Kathleen Kennedy thing, but you tell me that she's not exactly the same as a fat black lady in a Waffle House. You tell me. Prove it. Well, nevertheless.
Hmm.
How was your weekend?
Terrible.
Oh, no, that's not
So
good.
my truck had been leaking gas a
Oh,
little bit,
that's not good.
and the leak started to get quite bad very quickly. The other day, I was driving around and went about 10 miles, give or take,
Hmm.
back and forth. And I went through about half a tank of gas.
Wow,
I said, well,
that's
that's
not good.
not going to be sustainable. So I got it down to about half a tank, and then I left my truck off, ordered a new tank, all this.
You thought
I
it was the
looked up,
tank.
I crossed, it was the tank. Hang on. I cross referenced the tank that I looked up with 3 different websites, including Ford's, to make sure it would fit my model of truck. Yeah?
Hmm.
Well, Ford, in their infinite wisdom in the 2004 F 150, decided for some reason they'd
Hmm.
have 2 separate versions of the same truck
Right, right.
that are effectively the same thing, except one uses all of the parts from the year before,
Yeah,
from
yeah,
a 2003.
yeah, yeah.
I
That's
don't know why Ford decided to do
bureaucracy.
this, and so I apparently got the wrong tank.
No, I see.
So me and my buddy are putting this tank. We take the old tank down, right? Get it out of the way. About 10 gallons or so gas still in it, so it's heavy as hell. Um, get the old tank in position or the new tank in position, and there's just no way. It just simply will
Right,
not
right.
fit, will not work.
Yeah,
And
yeah. Those things are
that was
plug
like
and play
4 hours.
nowadays. Yeah.
Oh no, that was like 4 hours of work simply because Ford's engineers, engineers, I love them to death, are stupid. And what they have to do, well, it's not even their fault totally. They're intelligent. The structure, the bureaucracy they exist in, you see, they have to keep engineering things. They must do so, or else they lose their job.
That's
Right?
right.
They have to keep
That's right.
making new iterations of the exact same thing for no fucking reason
Hmm.
because it's a gas tank. For Christ's sake, we've been using gas tanks for 150 years. I think we nailed it. I don't
Yeah,
think
we
we need
did.
to keep iterating.
It's true.
Um,
You should be really thankful it's not Mopar because
oh
that's an
God.
ugly freaking rabbit hole right there, buddy.
So wrong tank. It was apparently the tank that I ended up getting, even though like I said, 3 different website databases with car parts
Hmm.
that this one would fit was for a different cab, so a different trim than the one I had.
Mm.
Well, I
As
also
that
come to find
matters.
out. See, yeah, I don't know why that matters. I have no idea. I also come to find out that not only does that matter, but the bed length matters too. And I said, what? Why?
Yeah.
Who is designing these fuel tanks for these trucks? And why are they making it this complicated? There's no reason for it to be that. It just sits under there.
Yeah.
That's all it does.
It's like the politicians. They got to show they're doing
Just,
something.
it's so
Yeah.
frustrating. So 4 hours of work, give or take, right? Because we had to get it up on jack stands and do all this.
Hmm.
Get up under there, get the old tank down. That's what took forever, was getting the old tank down because it was so heavy. Couldn't let it fall, so we had to be very gentle with it. Um, and then getting the new one in place, just to find out that it didn't work when we were changing one of the like gauged things down underneath there. It busted, so we had to go buy another one. Thankfully, a local parts store had one. All this happens, and it's the wrong tank, won't work, and it's still sitting at my buddy's house up on the jack stands until the new tank gets here.
Hmm.
That better be the right damn tank this time, I swear to God, on Thursday.
Right.
So my truck is down, so I can't use my truck. It's just sitting at my buddy's house, blocking half his driveway. It was a great. I was,
Mm.
I was actually for the first time in a very, very, very long time furious
Mm.
because it's just such a stupid problem. That is,
It
it's
is.
one of those problems that is created by somebody trying to solve a problem they don't need to solve.
Right.
That's
Yeah.
all it was, and that kind of shit infuriates me. Like, because it's years of dealing with engineering, fixing appliances. You have no idea how
Yeah.
many problems they've. We gotta solve this. Well, this could be a problem. It's not a problem. Nobody's ever had that problem. Nobody. You're overthinking it. Calm down. There's a reason why that appliances that were designed in the 60s and 70s, designed by people who actually had to repair them for a living, by the way, still work today and were the best design in the history of everything, from washers, dryers, fridges, all of it. They were by
Yeah.
far the best. They
Oh yeah.
did the job better than anything else, and they still do it today if it wasn't for government bureaucracy getting in the way, and then
Hmm.
bureaucracy at the companies getting in the way.
Oh,
But
that's
it's just
true.
one of those things. I have a few things, Chester, that genuinely triggers my rage,
Hmm.
and that's one of them.
Oh, I
Like
see.
it would not have been a good day for somebody to try it yesterday because I'd probably be in jail. I would have probably lost my shit. It would have been one of them. One of them. And
Yeah.
once I woke up from the rage fit, I would be like, ah, damn it,
Yeah.
ah, shit.
Well, there's an easy little test for what you're saying. Go
Mm.
with cars, particularly. Go look at what percentage of cars are still on the road prior 1970 and post 1970.
Yep.
Mhm. You might be surprised. Just for your information, just to help you out if you should run into this trouble again, with the gas tank, if
Mhm.
you're losing fuel like that, go find the leak and take a bar of soap and just kind of rub it on there, and it'll seal it up for quite a while, so you wouldn't have to
Yeah,
lost all that gas.
somebody did already because like this is a used truck that I got. It used to be an ODOT truck,
Oh, I
like an
see.
Ohio,
Just
it's
clean it up
Ohio
and do it
Department
again.
of Transportation. So yeah, somebody had already put some kind of either soap or some kind of like epoxy or something on the
Yeah, yeah.
tank
No,
to seal
soap
it
will
up.
do it. I mean, obviously, you still have to change the tank, but I mean, it'll keep you from
Yeah,
losing the gas. Soap's definitely the way
yeah.
to go. And if it's clogged up, just take like a
As
stick.
long as it wasn't running, it didn't really lose it because of where
Oh,
the leak was. It only when it was the pump was going was the only time it would leak.
oh, so it was
So
in
it
the
was sitting.
line, not the tank.
Yeah, it was in the lining of it. Yep. But I still had to get a new tank because the tank
Sure.
was where it was at. It was leaking right there too. So, but no, hopefully it's supposed to be here Thursday. Hopefully it is. And we might just try and do it either Thursday night or Friday, depending on when it gets here, and just get it done because
Mhm.
need my truck back. One of my little side businesses, I need that truck for. So I'm not making money while it's just sitting.
Yeah, no, I know what you mean. But another thing you can maybe keep in mind for the future will help you because it is very convoluted. But if you take your owner's manual, which is in your truck somewhere, I'm sure,
Hmm.
and you look at the back of it, it's going to have a code number for that particular model. And a lot of
Hmm.
times, when if you're ordering a part or something like that, use that code instead of 19 99 Ford S10 or whatever it is.
Yeah.
Because that code right there will be very specific. You
Oh, I
wouldn't think
did.
you would have to. Oh, really?
I used that, and I even used It's what I'm telling you is Ford. It's a Ford fuck up, hardcore, because a whole bunch of parts websites had it wrong.
Oh,
Um,
I see.
I
Okay.
used that. I even Amazon here has this feature where you can put your license plate number in, and it'll cross reference with the DMV database and get your exact model and everything.
Ooh, that's
I did
handy.
both of those, and it still gave me the wrong part.
Oh, I see.
So
Yeah, it's
what I
just
did the next time
bureaucracy.
is I went with I took that part's part number, and instead I looked for a tank that was bigger, and I was able to find the exact right tank. And it's just nonsense. I've been doing parts research for a very, very long time, pretty much my whole adult life. And this thing with this truck is by far the stupidest thing I've ever seen. It's just stupid. There's
Yeah.
no
No,
excuse
I
for it
get
to
it.
be 20 years later, it's still this stupid. You haven't figured it out, Ford? What are you doing? Holy
Yeah.
shit. There's
Well,
no excuse for it to
you know,
be that dumb.
something I found over here that really I thought was quite interesting. Back in the States, I didn't order parts from companies. I went to junkyards and I or
Hmm.
repaired it. I never did like that. But here in Japan, they hate anything that's older than 10 years. They will make your biannual, excuse me, your every 2 years you have to do a safety check here, and it's
Sure.
expensive. And after it gets over 10 years, they start jacking that price up. They try to force you in a new car, and they're very successful at it. So you don't really have junkyards here. You don't have those kind of things. So you can go out of your way to try to do it, but the system here wants you to work with new vehicles. Oh, okay, fine. But the interesting thing about that, though, is there because of that, there's another aspect that we don't get in the States. Like, for instance, instead of going and looking for an old tank and an old, gas line connectors, nibs, or whatever it is you needed, you could have went to a junkyard and got that cheaper. because going to Ford is going to be more expensive, right? But here, it's actually much cheaper to go to Toyota or Honda because they'll actually give you discount because they want everything to go through them.
Yeah.
It's the opposite,
Well,
right?
I
In
didn't.
America.
What I do, yeah, usually what I, especially if you get it straight from the dealerships or whatever the
Yeah.
manufacturers, the OEM part, it's almost always more expensive. Um, what I usually do is pretty much every part that's ever been made. I'd say probably every part that's ever been made has a non OEM version of it. Especially for Fords, because Ford's been around a very very long time.
Oh, sure.
But it may not even, as much as I'm ranting at Ford, it might not even be their fault. It could be something ODOT did as well, because I have no idea for certain that the information, like the paperwork I have, is even for the right truck. I wouldn't know because they put a different bed on it, they painted it. It's all they used
Oh,
it, did all
man,
sorts of
that could be a
stuff to
problem
it.
too. Yeah.
Yeah, so I wouldn't know what all kind of fuckery they were up to because they used it as a just a beater truck for the Department of Transportation. Uh,
You could have
but
both
everything
tank. You could have
other
both
than this
tanked it for a couple
problem,
days. You know.
yeah, other than this problem, the truck has been phenomenal. Everything works, everything, heat, air, everything. 20-year-old, no problem. This was the first problem it had given me was this gas leak, which is very common, especially around here with all the rust. It's very common.
Yeah,
Uh,
you are in the
gas
Rust
leak
Belt.
problem.
That's true.
Oh
Yeah, it's
yeah,
a problem.
I'm right in the
Yeah,
middle of it,
yeah,
right in the heart. Oh,
yeah. It is amazing how corrosive that land is.
yeah,
Yeah, and it's weird that we
and then the
chose that to be our
government doesn't help
foundry.
either. Government doesn't help either. They with all the salt they throw over the roads.
Yeah,
They,
that's true.
'cause-
That's true. Yeah, but no, I grew up with a bunch of cheapskates. They didn't buy anything new, so I learned how to do things that way. I think I rebuilt my first carburetor. I must have been 9 or 10.
oh yeah,
Had to
yeah.
come
No, I don't have any
uncle
problem
over the
usually
shoulder,
doing it,
right?
but I use this truck. I drive really long distances. Normally I would just fix it basically one way or another, but I'm like, you know what? I might as well get a new tank on there.
Hmm.
It's safer that way.
No, it's a better choice. Yeah,
Yeah, I usually drive when I'm doing whatever it is I'm doing. There's times I do hour and a half, hour, 2 hours one way, and I'm back in that truck. So I want to make sure that it functions as
yeah,
good as I can. I don't need to break it down when I'm an hour and a half away somewhere in Michigan
that's true.
doing
Yeah.
something. Yeah.
I was always wrenching as a kid because I went for old stuff instead of new stuff. When I got married, though, I did change my behavior, and I did buy a Honda Prelude, first used one. The first car I bought in Hawaii after getting married, but after that, I went to leasing
Mm,
because I didn't want to have the wife, because that time we didn't have a lot of money at that time, so we only operated a single vehicle. It's not like now.
sure.
So I didn't want the wife to have to worry about those things, so I actually went lease, which is a little more expensive monthly, but you don't have to pay for or worry about anything at all. And
Yep.
so I went that route in America. Here in Japan, I just buy new. But
Yeah, I
in
tell people all the time that people have the wrong conception of leasing. I don't want to lease. I want
that's
to own my car.
that's a good
Well,
idea,
okay, are you going to pay cash for it? Because if you're not, then you don't own your car either. So you get it paid off. So let's
right?
calm down, first of all. And second of all, um, it's for most people, especially people living in a city, it's by far the better option. It just is. Like you might pay a
Yeah,
little
no, it
bit
is.
more, but there's so much. You basically, if you just go from lease to lease to lease, you get a new car every 2 or 3 years, and there
Hmm.
you go.
That's
You
right.
don't have to pay it till it's full term. If and it's good for your credit. And if you do it through the
It
same
is.
company, oftentimes they'll have all kinds of deals for coming back and doing it again.
Oh yeah.
Like plus, what you can also do, which is what my car was, I didn't lease it first, but somebody else did, is basically that car becomes very valuable because it has low miles and only had one owner, quote unquote, and then they can turn around and recertify it, and the dealership can sell it for quite a bit of money. Not obviously not full markup, but quite a bit of money. And it's a fantastic car. If for some reason you're going to buy a used car, any reason at all, and you don't want to just go get some clunker, that's what you want to get. You
Yeah,
want to get
buy
former
at least.
leased
Yeah,
vehicles. Yeah,
yeah,
the pre-leased vehicles because they're just better. It's
yeah.
basically a brand new car. My car when I bought it in 2020 had just under, I want to say 25,000 miles on it.
Hmm.
Not, I don't think it had that actually. It might have been under 20,000, and it was only like 2 years old. So it's a freaking beautiful car. It's got a full luxury package, heated seats, automatically, like just everything, just full luxury
Sure.
package, anything you could want. And I got it for basically nothing because it was 2020 and it was right in the middle of COVID, and they were giving cars away. They were desperate
I
to sell
bet.
cars.
Yeah, yeah.
So it was beautiful. But I honestly, I used to sell cars for Ford, in fact, actually, and I would tell people all the time because people around here, especially, have that idea that they don't like. Oh, leasing's a scam. I'm like, no, how? What?
No,
What's
it's
the
not.
scam?
Leasing's
You had to drive a
very.
brand new car for a couple years. All you
Yeah.
have to do is just not bang it up, and then bring it back,
Well,
and you're
even if
good.
you do
That's
bang
it.
it up, it's insured.
Yeah,
But no, it depends on what you're looking at. First of all, if you own a car, if you don't pay those taxes, you better not drive it, right?
yeah.
Because so talk about what you own, right? Uh, but
Mm.
um, but no, certain cars I would definitely like the Civic. If I was in America, I might, probably wouldn't be, to be fair, but by this time, because my wife, I would, but me, I'd go back to have my Pontiac 1967, which is as you should. But no, but I'm just saying, like with the Civic, that's something I would buy outright. I wouldn't lease that
Yeah.
because that is a collector's item. That's an item you
Well, it's
keep.
also going to last for damn ever.
It
Like
will,
it's just never going anywhere.
but you know what I mean. But if you're
Yeah.
just getting a kind of normal, family car, what do you care whether you own it or not?
Yeah, I
I
don't
mean, it
get it.
doesn't
It's
mean
it's a
anything.
weird thing to me. I've never quite understood the mentality of it. Once I did it first before I understood it. But once I started actually, selling cars, I would often try to get people to lease. It's a better deal for everybody involved because for most people, unless you have a very, very, very long commute every day,
Yeah,
or you're a very, very, very active person, you drive around a lot, you don't need you don't need to own the car.
no,
Right? The lease mileage agreement will more than cover anything you're going to put on it.
yep,
So you're honestly not gaining much from it. And like you said, when depending on the lease agreement, depending on what's going on, but usually they'll do pretty much all the maintenance for you. You just take it there, boom, pop, 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 and you're done.
hmm
Uh, it it's just it's a lot less hassle,
yeah, and
right?
you're not
So it
responsible
really
for
just
anything at
depends.
all. At
Yeah,
anything, it's not your responsibility. If you have any kind, now of course, your insurance probably has some kind of emergency number for help, right?
right.
But your company, whether it be Ford or Chevy or whatever, Toyota in America, they will have a roadside assistance package as part of the lease,
Yes.
right? So
In fact,
literally
they do it.
anything you need is handled. You don't
I
have to
know
think
Ford.
about anything.
Yeah, when I was selling them, this was 10 years ago now. Ford had that for even new cars that you buy. Like even if they had
Sure,
roadside assistance for like 1 year or something,
it's good service.
that you bought it because one, it's good service, and two, if for some reason you're delinquent on the payments, they would rather make sure that the car isn't destroyed when they pick it back up. Stuff like that because a
Right,
lot of people buy a car and 6 months later it's rolling back on the lot because they didn't make their payments,
right.
and that happens far more often than it should. Let me
Well,
tell you
because
that. I remember selling the same car 3 times in 2 months.
oh wow, yeah, people can't
Yeah.
understand the economics for some reason these days. But no, if I was still in the states, my wife would have a leased car. The family car would be
Mhm.
leased. There's no reason not to. You always have a nice car. She's safe. She's completely covered. Me,
Right.
1967 Pontiac Firebird.
I like the Firebird choice. You're speaking Grimlock's language right there with them
Oh
Firebirds.
yeah, baby. It's one of the most beautiful, best muscle cars ever made. And these people going on about the frickin' Mustang. Mustangs are for girls.
Listen here.
He
I
too
won't
is a
listen.
man
I
of
won't hear
faith.
that slander.
Well, I'll, I'll say this: there are certain Mustangs.
Yeah,
Yeah.
the boss is pretty
Even,
good, dude. Yeah.
e- even though I have to say, Ford, whoever the executive at Ford who thought it was a good idea to attach the Mustang brand to a fucking SUV and an electric one at that should be publicly executed.
Yeah, I agree
Yeah,
with that. Yeah, and
that's a
anyone, the
terrible
person
decision.
who came up with the Mustang 2, oh my God,
Oh yeah,
they should have been lynched for damn
Listen,
sure.
you can smear Mustangs all you want. There's only one that I won't tolerate the slander of, and that's the very first one.
Dude,
That's my dream car.
I'd take a Cobra or a Boss any day.
Oh well, yeah, of course.
Yeah.
That's barely a Mustang though, but yeah,
Yeah, just
they
saying.
do so they jack them
when
up so much.
Yeah.
when I
No,
used to work at Walmart, I had a coworker that had a '70 Mach 1 Mustang.
Ooh.
look at this boy.
Yeah,
Uh-huh.
Yeah.
But
1964 and a half cherry red Mustang convertible with a black interior. That's my dream car. It has been my whole life
mm,
since I was like 12. I've always wanted one. And there was a guy around here who had that exact car for years. And I was just hating him secretly from a distance. Like, you son of a bitch. You son of a bitch. You have my car right there.
yeah.
It's a beautiful car.
Nah, you
We
know.
used to, Chester, in America, we used to just build pretty things.
Oh yeah.
We just did
Yeah.
for no other reason than we could. There was no reason to make cars the way they did in the 50s and whatnot. They did it because it looked good.
Hmm.
That's it. We could do it again.
Well,
There's no reason we can't do it again.
Corvette has said no, screw that. We're going to go back and make something badass like we did, something innovative like
Yeah.
we used to.
Oh, I like the new vets.
And
I
the new
really
vets are
like the new
beautiful,
vets.
man. Good for
Yeah.
freaking Corvette, dude. But no, I love cars. I've owned lots of cherry cars. You guys would love to hear my list, I am sure. I have not only have I owned an actual Cobra, not a Mustang, an actual Cobra. I
Nice.
also owned a Daytona.
No.
Yes, I did. And
This
both,
boy. I got a giant Akita in here, and he's being rambunctious to me right this
yeah,
minute.
and both of
And this
those
boy.
cars, particularly the Cobra, wanted you dead.
Get, get. Yeah. He's a beast. Hang on, I'll be right back.
Yeah. What kind of car do you drive, Grimlock?
I have the '02 navy blue metallic Pontiac Trans Am
Ooh.
because that has been my car of choice since I was a child.
No, dude, I like Trans Ams. I like Trans Ams. What does
Um,
the O2 look like? Is that the one that's kind of bulky? It's almost got like a Camaro stance.
yeah, that was when, unfortunately, thanks to GM, they was way into the badge engineering of the
Right.
'90s,
Right.
and the similarities became so much that people did not understand that there were still differences between the two. But the '02 was the last
Yeah.
year
Yeah, it's
they
got that
made it.
Camaro stance on it. Yeah. Yeah. I
It's got
remember these.
yeah, it's
I,
got the
I'm showing
in
the
fact,
photos.
let me do you one better. Let's see if I have probably on this phone.
I had an
It's gonna
IROC for a
send
few
you.
months.
I
I did.
also have an '89 Formula 350 hardtop that I need to finally get on the road.
So you
But
like
I have
wrenches, huh?
some.
That's cool. I didn't know that.
Well, that one is going to be my first engine rebuild. I've never rebuilt an engine, and it's a particular. And since it's the tune port engine, it's going to be a particular test because there's a lot of things back then that could go wrong with a tune port adjacent to the motor itself. It's not like the motor itself is still a classic, 350 small block
Yeah,
iron
sure.
block,
Yeah. Well, dude,
but
I had a friend of mine here, who had who was it a demon? That was like the
ooh,
crazy drag version of the Challenger, right?
ooh,
Yeah, the demon. A friend of mine here got a demon because he'd take it up. It never went on the road. He only took it there's a track a few hours north of us, and he only took it up on track days. But he was running it for a year, and then they're doing the quarter miles, right? And
yeah.
he blew the engine. Well, he blew the trans is
Oh,
what he did. So I was helping him taking it because I've been gearing, wrenching my whole life, right? So I was helping him
Yeah,
tear it down because I never seen one of these new fancy, muscle car engines. I haven't seen one, right, in a long. I haven't wrenched
yeah.
in forever, right? I've been overseas. Well, that kind of wrenching. But we're tearing it down, and it certainly had a lot of interest. It had 12 spark plugs, or not 12. What
Yeah.
was it? 16. It was double spark plug, which I thought was weird. It had those fuel injectors on it, of course. I know the modern cars have that. But
Yeah.
other than a few electronic things that were just kind of overkill, as we started tearing it down and tearing that engine down and looking for any kind of stuck rods or the things you look for when you're looking at an engine that's popped. Luckily, it was
Yeah.
just the gasket and the tranny was absolutely ground. That thing was
Yeah.
grenaded bad, dude. But um, the more we dug into it, more I realized shit has not changed. It's the exact
Mm,
kind of engine I worked on as a kid. Yeah, sure, it's got 800, 900 horsepower, but it's the same thing.
yeah.
All the pieces are the same. No, there's no innovation. It's been a while, huh?
When it comes to the V8 motor's been really kneecapped over the last 10, 15 years because of government fuckery sticking their nose where it doesn't belong. So now everything is either turbocharged four cylinder or twin turbocharged six cylinder,
Supercharged. The
and it's
Demon's
like, okay,
supercharged.
oh no, they hardly supercharge anything.
The Demon
Like,
was. I took a supercharger
yeah,
off the top of it. Thing was
oh yeah,
freaking must have weighed freaking 100 pounds.
yeah. But I'm saying they're one of the few things. Like I remember, like in the mid '90s, early 2000s, it wasn't uncommon to see things supercharged, like out the factory, like especially like GM back in the day, the 3800 V6. Um, they loved supercharging that.
Oh yeah,
They had a supercharged variant of that, and it was in about seven different cars. I think might have been more than that, but
just swallowing air, baby.
yeah. But now everything is turbocharged, twin turbocharged, and it's like
Yeah,
you're
my car is. Yeah.
doing all of that to make You have the Honda Civic
I have an
uh
ST, so
ST. So that's the equivalent of the Type R in America, right?
it is Type R. Yeah, it's just I got a more luxurious interior. But this
Because
thing with with the turbos, that thing
yeah,
produces 500 horsepower.
yeah, because a friend of mine has the Type R
Yeah, yeah,
Civic.
yeah. I just
He was,
didn't like the body work on the Type R and the interior. So I basically have a Type R engine in the car, but everything else is the Alcantara seats and all that kind of fancy, air conditioning, heated seats, that kind of nonsense
yeah,
for the wife.
mm,
Um, and I made sure. No, listen to this. This was an important extra that I paid $200 for, just so you know.
ooh,
Because my car has several different modes, right? It has like
yeah,
it has a standard mode, it has a speed
mm,
mode, and it
comfort,
has a race mode. But the race mode only comes on when you go when you enter the track. There's like this
mm,
sensor at the track gate, and it turns on, and the whole dash changes when I go into the track, right? And it puts in a race mode and gives you 100% of everything. But I spent an extra couple $100. I put an echo mode in mine
mm,
and I taught my wife how to because you actually with these type of race cars you have to touch buttons. You don't just turn a
yeah,
key, right? Well, or press a button these days. You have to kind of do a setup. So I taught my wife the setup, and the first thing she presses is the echo button. Make sure she doesn't kill my damn car.
yeah,
So but Dave mentioned here before he said the fix or repair daily Ford. I grew up with found
yep,
on roadside dead for Ford, which is unfair. Ford's a pretty good company. He said my first job was at Jiffy Lube. Started the summer between junior and senior high school. Yeah, Did that for about a decade. Fuck, working on cars. Okay. Hey, sounds like a fun job to me, dude. I like working on cars. Actually, if I could do that forever, I'd be a happy boy.
To deal with them people.
Well, you could do that forever. I mean, there's people who do that for a living. What do you mean?
Yeah, but I mean,
Well, I don't know what they make over there, but over here, a good mechanic, that's money over here.
yeah,
Uh,
over here it's not as much, but it's certainly not enough to maintain what I need. I'm a very pedantic
Really?
person, if you haven't noticed. Um,
no.
Yeah, and I break down all my costs. Like, say I go buy a new couch, right? I will look at the cost of that and I'll say, okay, this will probably last me 10 years. Therefore, take the cost of the couch, break it down to annually, monthly, and daily. So, therefore, I have an actual daily amount of money I need to generate to pay my bills. This has nothing to do with extras or savings or anything like that, just to pay all my bills. Would you like to know how much I'm up to daily? Want to guess?
1,000 a day.
1,000 a day? That would be a stupid human. That would be Tony Stark.
Hey, we got him out here.
I'm sure you do. Yeah, but I'm way over 100 and a half a day, dude.
Oop.
So mechanic ain't doing it. I got kids and women's to take care of.
Oh, my friend, you don't understand how much mechanics can make over here. There's mechanics over here that I know personally who are multimillionaires, and all
Sure,
they do
but
is
they're
work on
really
cars.
talented and good and put their whole life to
Well,
it. I'm a
yeah.
frickin' amateur by at best.
Well, everybody starts as an amateur, Chester.
Okay,
Come on.
well, I'm not 15 anymore, Thundero.
Listen, age is nothing but a number. All right,
Mm-hmm.
it's a state of mind.
It's true.
And nowadays, you can be trans age if you like. You can identify as 15 if you'd like.
Can that
Uh,
sounds wrong? Yeah, I
uh,
don't. Let's not do that.
Chester, I just sent to you a pic of my boy in your Discord, just in case you want to see it.
Oh, I do. Want me to show it to the peoples?
If you want to, I am proud of my boy.
Let's see here. Oh, Eric sent me something. Uh, hold a second. I got a thing
Yeah, I sent it
from
to you.
Eric.
It
Yeah,
is.
no, this is from Eric. Hold a second. I'm going to use the modern young people's lingo. See if the old man gets it. Mm-hmm.
Oh,
Ooh. Oh yeah. There you go. There you go. Yeah. Yeah. No, the old two Pontiacs. Yeah, no, I was
Mhm.
interesting choice, with these. I thought they looked good. I was interested that they really went they really had more of a Camaro feel than a Trans Am feel. I thought it was
Well,
really interesting why they went that direction. But they were hurting really bad. This is like the last year or so, wasn't it?
yeah, that is the last year, and like I said, Pontiac was really limited with what they could do. But the thing was, they did tune them differently. Like the funny thing is, the Camaro, the Firebird, and the Corvette all shared the same engine at the same time. But if you put them on a dynometer, you would get three different readings.
Oh wow, that's interesting.
And the funny thing is, the strongest one is that one there.
It's interesting because this has a bit of a Packard front, huh? I'm
Yeah.
gonna look at the old ones. My favorite is '67 Pontiac Firebird's my thing. Somewhere around that area. '67 is my favorite. Let me just see. Is that all of them have that nose? 'Cause
That is
no, they
a
don't.
well.
See, this is what I
That's
thought.
that's the Ram Air hood. Well, kind of. Mine was actually a custom. It's it is the Ram Air hood, but it also was built with the Firehawk extractors on the side. You'd have
Oh, okay.
so yeah, because on the O2 it didn't have that. So That one was actually hand built. It took 2 months for me to get that hood.
Oh wow, yeah,
Uh,
they're nice though.
yeah.
But it does have that kind of old Packard look in the front, huh?
Oh yeah.
Yeah, they have that kind of narrow
And
little thing.
the only thing I say when I first bought that car, because I bought it from a guy who had like 3 other muscle cars, but he had to give one up
Hmm.
because he was having a kid and like he just couldn't keep him with kids on the way. And when I first got it, it was like I didn't know how to feel about the tan interior, but I'm like, you know what? Now that I'm older, that blue and tan just works so well. It's like, yeah,
Yeah, yeah.
I like
Now,
it.
one of the things I really want to buy, and everyone's telling me I shouldn't do it, and I won't do it because I'm not going to burn that kind of money. But me personally, I'd love to have me one of those. I forget what model is, but one of those black Ferraris with the tan interior. And it was like, no, you can't. There's only real Ferrari is red, and like, screw off, dude.
Oh, fuck that.
Yeah.
Give me that 308 Magnum PI
Hmm.
Ferrari with the tan interior
Yeah,
with the gated shifter.
sexy, dude. Yeah, the gated shifters and all. I don't know. I'm not a huge fan of gated shifters, but they do look cool though. Yeah.
Yeah,
The weird thing is, because I'm kind of doing my friends, in the hospital, so I'm doing the dynamite, right? And
yeah.
the truck that I'm using to deliver dynamite, it has a gated shifter. And it's been a very long time since I've had to deal with that because the Civic, I could have got the six on the floor, but I went with the automatic and the paddle shifters on the column for my wife to be able to use it, right? Uh, and I don't know, paddle shifters. Have you guys ever used those?
Paddle shifters.
Yeah,
Uh,
Yeah.
I- I've
yeah,
I've had a couple. I've driven a couple of cars that had them, but I don't remember using it.
yeah. My last three cars have had paddle shifters. I had the Vet, I had the RSC. And now, of course, I got the SD, and they all have the paddle shifters. I just prefer the stick, dude.
Yeah,
Yeah. Should have waited on that vet though, huh, Thundero? Because the vet got cool.
Yes. Yes. You should have.
I should have, yeah. Because
They're genuinely a phenomenal looking vehicle again.
hmm
Like it's so good to see because I mean that there's very few things more American Corvette,
yeah, no,
and
yeah, yeah, absolutely.
it's a shame that all these little
Dream
Euro
car.
trash companies have popped up and are making these absolutely gorgeous machines, just beautiful machines that are just I mean they're basically just rolling death wheels, just rolling death with a lot of speed, but they look good doing it. And America's been getting absolutely shit on for a very long time when it comes to making beautiful vehicles.
Oh yeah.
Um, and
Well,
there's no
Europeans
excuse
always
for
look
it.
down on us, dude. They always look down on
There's
us.
no excuse for America to look down on itself, though, and allow that this idea that our vehicles have to only be practical and they can never look good to infest our minds with this it's BS. We had generations. You guys were just talking about all kinds of them. Generations of vehicles that were just works of fucking art on
Oh
wheels.
yeah,
They were beautiful. They were sexy.
they
You
were.
see one today and everybody looks at it because it had that aesthetic it factor, that
Hmm.
charisma that only a piece of art, a great piece of art can achieve, like a cathedral or some monumental piece of art. And we were making vehicles and people had them in their driveways in the millions in
Hmm.
their driveways. They were just mind-blowingly beautiful,
Oh yeah,
just
gorgeous
surrounded
stuff.
by that
Yeah.
level of beauty. And there's no reason that it can't still happen other than bureaucratic BS and this notion that it has to be affordable. Blah, 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 blah. First of all, listen. I'm gonna tell you right now. I'll tell you right now. If they can sell Ferraris, if they can sell Bugattis, they can sell all these vehicles at the price points they're selling them at, people will find the money to get your car if it's beautiful enough. They
Hmm.
will find a way. This idea that everything has to be made with, perfectly economical or whatever the catchphrase is this decade, it always changes every 10 years or so.
Yeah.
Uh, is well, it's bullshit.
Yeah.
And all it
Well,
is it's
yeah.
from the financial guys who they want the number on the right side of the spreadsheet that says how many units sold to go up because that looks good
Well,
for them to the shareholders. They don't really care about the in betweens. They don't give
no,
a shit as long as
and
those
they
numbers go up.
and they ugly them up intentionally,
Yeah, yeah,
because they could easily take a cheap Ford Focus and make it look cooler, right?
yeah.
But
I love my Fusion. Love it. They for about 10 years there, not even 10 years, about 8 years. Ford. What they did is they went over. They got the Aston Martin body kit and they adapted it for the Ford Fusion. And I still think it's the best looking. That's what I was just talking about. The type of car I was just talking about. Best one that we've put out in decades in America by far.
Yeah,
I don't
no,
think it's
they're a
close.
pretty solid car, but they do that to kind of make things elite. That's why they out
Yeah.
like a lot of things they make ridiculously expensive, not because it actually costs that. It's just to keep you and me out, right?
Oh, absolutely.
Um,
There's no there's no way that one car costs over $1 million
no,
to produce.
no, it doesn't.
That's
Yeah,
obscene.
even
The
the oldest
C6
studies didn't go that far. But if you look on the screen, Grimlock, I had this vet.
C6, I like that one.
Yeah. Yeah, well, it was a solid thing, but here's the weird thing about it, right? I mean, it looked cool, but the Japanese have no clue what it is, so it didn't carry any kind of value in that way. This the ST I got now, blow this thing out of the
Mm-hmm.
water, dude. Absolutely
Oh
murder
yeah.
it.
Oh yeah.
Oh
Even
It's
though
sad.
that that one and the C7 Stingray in blue.
Oh
Oh
yeah,
boy,
yeah, yeah.
I'd have bought those.
yeah.
It's had a
I
six speed
like
in it.
this. I like the C8, but I still don't know what I think about that being mid-engine. That mid-engine configuration.
Yeah, I get the American particularly held off on it, but that is a beautiful car. That is them being old vet. That's them being innovative as they always used to be. And
Yeah.
the car runs wonderfully. It's really, really a beautiful car, and it is actually affordable.
Yeah.
Because I could have
Yeah.
got a vet. Well, no, because bringing it here to Japan would have cost me double. But in America, the amount I paid for the ST, about the same price,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
So,
No,
Yeah.
that's my point. Is you don't have to sacrifice one for the other. It's a choice they're making because, well, partially because they're evil and they love money too much,
yeah,
and
well,
two, because they have this idea that they've conditioned the public, especially, to believe that boring is cheap. And it doesn't have to be that way. You don't have. There's plenty of really expensive, boring ass cars. Look at like every luxury car. They're boring as hell. There's not much. They're not that pretty. Like Lexuses are ugly. I don't care what anybody says.
they are.
But
Yeah,
but they make a lot of money selling them
because
because
they're
they do
status.
everything.
It's
Yeah,
a status
and they have
thing,
that
like
status
Mercedes.
symbol.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah,
And there's
So
some
my
smooth
point is,
driving.
it
There's
doesn't.
some smooth
These
driving
things
cars.
are
Though.
those things. Oh, they drive phenomenally. The thing is, it's BS. Is my point, right? Like it's a weird thing that they've convinced. I don't know if they believe it or if they just think the public believes it, but it's simply not true. You can make an economical beauty. It doesn't have to be one or the other. Is my overarching point, and we know it doesn't because they used to do it.
well, yeah,
And like you said, they haven't done great, crazy innovation in the internal combustion engine in a very, very long
a
time.
very long
It's
time.
basically the same thing. So
No,
what the hell?
I was shocked when I was breaking that demon down, dude. That demon engine. I mean, it's what,
Yeah.
900 horsepower, 890 horsepower, or something like that. And I was,
Yep.
breaking it down. It had a whole bunch of stuff I'd never seen on top of it. But as I started taking it apart, it's like, oh, I know what that is. Oh, I know what this
Yep.
is. And as I got some of that electrical crap, which is mainly sensors off the top, it was absolutely rote. I know every
Yep.
part of it. I've worked on it nothing was new. I mean, the
Yep.
camshaft had a pretty radical lifter set on it, I'd say. But yeah, it was just a car. It wasn't any different than me working on one of my me or my friend's old muscle cars when I was a kid. Same thing.
Yep.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it's interesting.
It is absolutely something they choose to do. They always say, because I've heard it with architecture too, right? It's too expensive to build things. No, it isn't. Shut up. That isn't true. The Muslims are doing it. They're building absolutely gorgeous structures over there in the Middle East. Unbelievable things that
Oh,
there's
they
no
are.
excuse for the so-called richest country in the world to not be able to do.
Oh well, that's a
How is that
whole nother
possible?
conversation. But
No, what it is it's intentional. It's brutalism. These people have been indoctrinated into this weird pseudo cult nonsense where they intentionally make things as ugly as possible. And they come up with rationalizations that they say to everybody else for why they're doing it, but they're doing it on purpose. Whether
of
they're
course they
doing
are.
it out of
Yeah.
some weird psyop thing to demoralize people, or they're just doing it because they think that's what's in fashion,
Well,
or
they
some other
hate
bullshit
cars,
reason.
dude. They hate cars.
Yes, that's my point. These people are evil, is
They
my
are.
point, and there's no reason we can't have beautiful cars again, other than we unfortunately turned our our culture, our car culture, because America especially is a car culture,
Oh yeah.
over to people who hate it. They hate it.
Yeah,
They
that's true.
clearly hate it.
Yeah. Well, the only it's talk about engines. The only kind of different engines I've ever seen in my life were the BMW, I think Porsche as well, Boxster. The
Yeah,
Boxster or Boxer or whatever it's called engine. That's a little different. And the Mazda rotary.
Germans.
That's different too. That's a very different thing. But
Good old
so the
Germans.
rotary is probably the last innovative engine they've come out with.
Well, the thing is we we just kind of nailed it. We got it. We figured it out. The internal combustion engine. There might be some things you could come up and do in this or that or whatever, but by and large, there's
Yeah,
only so many ways to skin a cat, right? There's only so many ways to crack an egg.
sure.
Once you figure out the system, you don't need to get in there and fiddle with it. This is my biggest problem with our. This is going to get way into the weeds, but one of the biggest problems with our pseudo capitalist system is that in order for a company to thrive, it must always be growing, right? And the
Sure.
reason for that, that's what leads to things like engineers who are constantly coming up with new ways of doing the exact same thing, right?
Right.
Like, it's the same thing we were just doing over here, but this time it does it with a flashy button. Like, oh,
Yeah.
thanks, guys.
Well,
It's
we
why the phones keep losing features and then getting them back 3 years later,
right.
right? Because they have to
Just like
justify their
video games
existence.
too. Video games as
Yeah,
well. Yeah. Yeah, and it's because these companies require a certain percentage of growth every year. The bean
yes,
counters and the accounting. We have to have this much percentage of growth every year. Whereas you can say, well, isn't just breaking, having a normal, flat year, isn't that okay too? Because I mean, we're
yeah,
making money, right? I mean, it's not
right,
like you're losing money, you're making money. But
yeah.
no, they can't have it.
And
It's got to be this, right?
right, it has to be a certain percentage. I think Ben was in here once talking about how much it drives him nuts. He's deep in the corporate world, and the things that they'll
He
do
is,
and
yeah.
say just to get that little 2% extra because it looks good on a spreadsheet
Hmm.
is it's obnoxious. Is
Yep.
what it is.
Well, that's what's
And
called.
I get why a lot of people who are corporate drones turn on what they think is capitalism. It's really not, but what they think is capital, we're told is capitalism, because I hate it too, and I'm not even in there. Because it filters down to the base level of people where you get things like ugly ass cars and you get things like you said, video games that innovate by taking features away,
Oh
shit
yeah,
like that.
Madden is
We
a
all have
perfect
to deal with
example.
it.
Yeah,
Yes, Madden's a
yeah,
great example.
yeah,
My lord.
yeah. Ridiculous. But yeah, no. I mean, and of course DEI is definitely a part of that scenario now. It is part of the equation, and this is why we're seeing them not really back off of it. Even though there was a pretty serious economic report that came out a couple weeks ago, saying that this DEI is failing. It's not actually doing what they initially thought profitability would be produced from it. So the suggestion from several economists is to move away
To
from
listen to
DEI
me.
and go into
Yeah.
other potential money making scenarios.
I should have honestly, Chester. If I could go back in time, I should have become an economist because I would be the freedman of today. I'd be the young soul out here calling these people idiots right to their face because they're
Or you'd be
idiots.
dead in
So
the
many of these
closet.
economists, well, yes, but so many of these economists are just pure idiots, and too many of them have never done anything other than be an economist. Right? They're ivory tower sorts of people. So they don't actually know how the real world works on the ground, and they don't realize why certain things that look good on paper and look good in the statistics don't work in the real world when you apply them broadly. Sometimes things only work in the microcosm of where they work, and when you try and take those things and apply them to huge franchises like Star Wars or whatever,
Mhm.
it falls apart very quickly because you're dealing with an ecosystem here. It's not just numbers on a line like economists believe. The economy isn't a thing. There is no economy. There's just people. That's what the economy is. That's economics is the study of people. That's what it really is.
Mhm.
Because people are the ones who decide what is valuable and what is not. Where they put their money is what decides where the market's going and where it's not.
Yeah.
No one else gets to decide that, and every time somebody else tries, it fails miserably, no matter what it is.
You know,
Imagine how shocking it was to discover that a financial model built around shaming people and wagging your finger doesn't fucking work. Imagine
It
the
doesn't
shock.
work.
imagine that, right? Yeah.
Shocked, I think.
Yeah.
Dumb.
But the you know, the one of the problems that they really are working they're working against themselves because you
Yep,
know the simple fact of the matter is we know this without question. The Austrian model works. We know it.
correct.
It works.
It does.
You know, simple concept, supply and demand, free market. You know, these ideas work really well, but they're
Yep,
constantly trying to manipulate it, and they get themselves so far past the bar, and everything is crumbling because they can't get out of their own way. You know,
yep.
we have so many examples of the Austrian system just functioning fantastically. Two of
It's
them,
happening right in front of our face right now in of all places, Africa.
yeah,
Nigeria has been adopting it whole, pieces and parts of it here or there wherever they could, and it's been working.
yeah,
One of the reasons why their economy is actually growing where everybody else's was shrinking is because they were adopting Austrian liberal economics.
yeah,
That's why
it's
it
true.
works.
Well, I mean, the reason why Germany and Japan came up so quickly after the war was because the Americans imposed the Austrian system on them. Imposed. They were not
Yep.
allowed to touch it for a certain amount of time. And then in the 80s, uh, uh, well, Japan's a little bit different of a beast, but so it took a little longer. But in the 80s or late 70s or so, I think it was the 80s, that restriction went away. So immediately the
Hmm.
politicians went in and started getting into nepotism,
Meddling.
right?
Yep.
Meddling. And what happened? Bubbles are popping left and right, economy's
Hmm.
crashing, right? But if you leave it alone, if you just have that, you know, the simple concept of free market, it works
Well,
wonderfully.
the reason it works, the reason why the basic I mean there's some things you can amend here or there, but the basic functionality, the basic laws of that system, the reason they work is because they're the natural laws of the universe
It is.
applied
It's people.
economically
Yeah.
to
It's
people.
just
Yeah.
people.
Just get out of the
Because
way and
yeah,
let people do what they're going to do, and
right.
by and large that will end up better than if you stood in their way.
Yeah,
If you
no.
just incentivize good behavior by allowing people to do bad. I know it sounds counterintuitive, but the best way for people to fucking learn is to fuck it up. That's the
Mhm.
best way. So you allow them to go the bad way so they can learn their lesson. Because as my mother said, my brilliant mother said, if you won't listen, you gotta feel. And these people, when you try to get in the way to make sure nobody ever feels the pain of their own decisions financially, economically, or in other ways, you always end up with tyranny and you always end up with a situation where we're in now where everything's just falling apart
It's true.
because you can't there's only so many resources. So if you're devoting your time to trying to stop problems from ever happening, guess what's going to happen? Other problems.
Oh yeah.
Wow, I know, right? Crazy, because
Well,
problems always are going to happen. We live in a universe that is slowly disintegrating. It's called entropy. Problems are always going to happen.
oh yeah.
So if you try and get in the way of stopping problems, I'm not saying you can't have any precautions, but if you
See,
try and make that your whole thing, that's your first order, is
see,
do no harm, stop the
you're
problems,
going with a
everything's
Jeff
going to fall
Goldblum
apart.
philosophy. I get you.
Yeah,
I
he's
I
right.
could I
He is
I could
right.
teach these idiots a fine economic model of how the market actually works and how diversity actually works. One simple trip to the strip club. Because that's
Mm-hmm.
economics in
Mm-hmm.
its purest form.
Yeah, it
The
is.
market
Yeah,
But
right.
you know, also
right.
in a more kind of simple understanding of it, Grim, like you could have you got a little town and you have Mike's Bubblegum Wrapper Company. And
Yep.
across the street, you have Fred's Big Bubblegum Wrapper Company.
Ooh, they're
And
big.
Mike's, he pays an extra 50 cents an hour, you see, than
Uh-oh.
Mike's. And so in the beginning, Bob, Mike gets himself some more workers because, like, oh, 50 cents more an hour is really great. But see, the thing is, Mike, he makes a better bubble wrapper.
That's
He
right.
bubblegum wrapper. His is better. So in the long run, Mike actually wins out. This
That's right.
Yep.
is free market. It
That's
should be illegal for
it.
governments to be involved in economics at all. It should be 100% illegal.
I
Mhm.
agree. I agree. I think you either have to have no involvement at all, or you have to have involvement that is based purely in the natural laws of the universe. I would prefer. At heart, Chester. I'm still an anarcho-capitalist. If I could make the world perfect, that would be my perfect world. Unfortunately, we don't live in a perfect world. We live in a world full of evil, greedy, duplicitous, fickle little pieces of shit called humans,
Yeah, but
and
they'll
they make
get
everything
burned
worse.
out. They'll get burned out by free
Eventually,
market.
yeah.
Eventually, yeah.
Eventually, yeah.
Have a little bit of patience.
Well, the problem is you're never gonna get to keep that system unless somebody stands at the gate and kills anybody who tries to meddle. Because the moment that there's something to meddle in, you're gonna get people meddling.
That's
These
true.
people can't help themselves. Especially these people that are, and they're really on both sides of the spectrum. But these busybodies, they can't help themselves. They're always going to make everything better. They're going to make the world better. They're going to make you better. They're going to make everybody happy, and then there's going to be fairies and rainbow unicorn farts and everything. They can do it. This time it'll work. And I've never seen a rainbow unicorn fart, so it must never have worked. Is all
Must
I'm
not
saying.
have.
Just
Yeah.
process of elimination here.
That is a good point, Grimlock. Why is it there are so many people that want to tell me how I must live my life? I mean,
That's
I
right.
understand having laws saying you can't hurt this person with your action. I get that. But why can't I destroy myself? What is it their business? I don't understand.
Because they're trying to pitch you a solution to a problem you don't have yet.
That's
Yeah, but I mean,
That's
if I want to drink myself into oblivion, isn't that my choice? I mean, as long as I don't get into a car behind the steering wheel or something, not hurting someone
yeah,
else.
sure.
absolutely. In fact, supposed to have been one of the founding pillars of our country is that you can do just that.
Yeah, you should be
But
able to.
And they did. A
the
lot of them did.
Yeah. Well, sure,
but
yeah.
Drank themselves into oblivion.
But I'm just saying that
but
I don't understand all these people trying to tell you how you live your life. It's like, as long as I'm not doing something that's harming others, it really should be none of your concern.
Correct.
well, that's because you have people who want a never they want this never ending supply of money, and that's the only reason they're interested in keeping you alive. So you keep paying for whatever nonsense they're trying to peddle.
It's true. That's true.
Well, the
So
reason why I even started on my rant about being an economist is because I remember this was frickin' over 15 years ago now, when a whole lot of these studies, quote, you hear the air quotes, studies
Mm,
were coming out of the big schools and these big economic departments talking about exactly what you're talking about. The DEI stuff is what it became, but basically that non-white males and females, and then women of all genders, of all races, spend more money on average on frivolous spending, and they're more likely to become what we call nowadays whales than anybody else.
mhm.
And this data started filtering in and filtering in and filtering in through multiple different studies. I have them on an old hard drive, a whole bunch of them, and they were all based on this premise that this was a forever phenomenon, that this was never going to change. This is exactly what the data says. This is always and forever. Now, yes, women are typically more frivolous with money than men are, but being frivolous with money and being a good consumer is not the same thing.
No.
And they convince themselves that all they have to do is just create consumers who just keep buying things. And sure, that might look good for a little while. That's a great little short end of the stick way to do it. But eventually that stick burns out because people don't have infinite money. No matter as much as people like to pretend, they don't. And
Yeah, that's a problem
eventually
I've noticed these
it
days.
gets
Yeah.
caught up. Yeah,
A
it
lot
gets
of
caught
people are
up.
living way
Here, here.
beyond their means, dude.
Way beyond them.
Yeah.
Yep. And that's
And
where we're at. That's where we're at now. And they chased this this DEI, as we call it now, what we call woke, what people call woke, that's what it is. It's the DEI programs, it's the affirmative action programs that have gone way beyond their original purview, these sorts of things.
Mhm.
That's what it really is. They chased that because they were told by all these brilliant economists and people doing market research that those are the people who would prop their companies up and would make them unbelievable amounts of profits
Oh,
forever.
oops.
This was the real market.
I see.
So they
Yep.
chased it,
Yeah.
and
And
they're finding out very quickly that
Yeah.
that wasn't the case.
Now, I do have a question
but
because
and
oh, go ahead, Grimlock.
I was going to say they also don't understand that money is a volatile resource. It's not static. Even if you have a big net worth, like if you was like, let's say Chester, your net worth is $5 million. It doesn't mean you made $5 million that year. You might have made only $250,000.
That's right.
The next
That's
year you might
exactly
have made $1 million. Next year you might have made $1 million. Then the following year you might have made 370,000. It
Yeah,
is
it's about
not
what's
static.
liquid, right? Yeah, that's true.
Yeah.
And most people don't seem to understand that. They hear shit like net worth and they go, "Oh, this guy's that." No, that is what he is valued at. That is a sum of multiple parts.
Yeah, no, I
Yeah.
That
mean,
is not what he is.
if
And
I
so many people, they look at these finances, they look at these numbers, and they just always go to the final number and go, "Ooh, that's it." That it doesn't work that way.
no,
Yep.
if I lived as if my net worth, I would be broke in a year.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, no,
Yeah.
that's true.
Exactly.
But the thing the I touched on it a minute ago, and you guys just agreed. But I really don't understand the amount of people that are living beyond their means. I know in my generation, well, actually, I know me, right?
Yeah.
I would, and of course, Japanese are exactly the same. I would never push my personal economics beyond my red line. I would never do
Mm.
it because it's suicide,
Hmm.
right?
Slow
It's
suicide.
financial suicide. So I would never do it. So therefore, not sometimes, often you have to wait,
Well,
right?
that's it. You just nailed it right there. Yeah. The ability to defer gratification
Yeah.
uh,
Like I just bought a new
is something
watch,
that's
but it
completely
took me
lost.
months to get it.
Completely lost in America. There's very few people who do it because, well, you have a three-pronged attack by the system. One, exactly what I was just talking about. They condition people to consume, 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 which doesn't work. And two, the other one is, if depending on which community you're in, some people think it's too white, literally, to
What?
do that, to defer your
Why
gratification.
do I
And
hear all these,
three,
we are dumb. Dumbness is better. White people are too smart. If we do like if we be smart,
right?
we be like the white man and we be the racist. What? What?
Listen, I'm flattered they think that highly of us,
Oh,
Chester,
I
but I
know.
can assure you, white people are fucking retarded. I'm gonna tell you right now, they're dumb.
Oh, sure.
Anyway,
Yeah.
Well,
um,
race doesn't mean
there's a
nothing.
Florida
third
is
one
one
though,
of
and
the
the
That's an
third one is what you're
individual
talking
statement right
about.
there, for sure.
Yes, yes. The third one is the people who, and this is just a fact, largely households not run by men. They're run by their wives entirely, and the man has very little say in anything, even the rearing of his own children, and they will just do what they feel, because when you allow women, most women, there's exceptions of course, but most women, you put them in a position of great authority with no oversight or very little, it's not a good position for them to be in. It's not what they're genetically
Well,
programmed
no,
for. I know it
you
sounds
need
horrible, but it's true.
balance. You need the man and
Yeah,
the woman together
yeah.
working, synonymously.
I
I
would
mean,
say on
symbiotically.
on the scale of it, in balance, as you just said, the man is typically better, and our brains kind of support this,
Mhm.
at making final big decisions, being an executive, if you will,
Well,
at,
we
at
tend to
that
be
level.
decisive. That's true. But then
Yes,
again, the
and women are
women
far
aren't.
better at the small stuff, hitting the little pegs, bop, 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 making sure all the big stuff can work when it needs to work.
Right.
Women are fantastic administrators,
But they're
fantastic.
also the break against the man's final
Yeah,
decision, right? I mean,
yeah,
it literally is symbiotic. And when
yeah.
you
It's
cut
but
one
my
or the
point
other
is,
out, you
is
have a problem. Right.
there's been a massive inversion in the last 20 years or so in America, especially, where the men just check out of their own households entirely. They
Oh,
just
that
they
sucks,
don't
man.
they don't have any real say in the matter at all. or if they do, it's ceremonial at best. And that's just that's not acceptable to me as a man. I would never let that happen. And it's not acceptable in society. There's a reason why men have led every society since the dawn of time, and it's not because they were just mean to women. It's because we're better at it. We are built for it.
Patriarchy functions. Yeah, that's true.
Yes, it functions much better, and matriarchies always collapse. They always, always do. And it's not because women are terrible or because let's hate on women. It's just they're not designed, whether you believe in
Well,
God or evolution, it doesn't matter. They're not designed for that. They're designed, I know women don't like to hear it, especially American ones, they're designed to be mothers and to mother. And what does a mother do? A mother administers. That's what a mother does. They take care, like you've even said it about your wife, Chester. You said
mhm.
she's very motherly. She's very mothering of people. Well, what does that
Yep.
mean? Somebody gets hurt, she goes and gets stuff to take care of it immediately. Boom.
Yeah.
No to quit, just does it.
Yeah.
That's what a female is supposed to be. Now, obviously, there's exceptions and da 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 da. I'm not talking about all, but most women, I think, on the whole, would if they put their emotions aside for just a second and listen, would agree that they are much better caretakers than men. That's all I'm saying. They're much better at it because they have their minds are capable of doing multiple things at once in a way most men just can't do. Most men are very point A to point B. Maybe we'll throw a C in there occasionally if we're feeling crazy. But by and large, we're bop, this is my task, this is my goal, let's get that done,
Yeah.
check
But
that off. Whereas women will be doing 6 or 7 at a time. Here, I'm
right.
doing this, I'm doing
Well,
that, doing this.
it's more singular than that.
Mm,
Men are operate under a hierarchy.
yes,
Women operate within a committee.
yes,
This
sure,
is why
for
men are
that.
so effective at making decisions and getting things done, is because we have a hierarchy. You put a bunch of men in a room, within 10 minutes, there's a boss, plain and
Pretty
simple.
much, yeah. Mhm.
And that boss will put out the idea of what they want to do. And unless you really disagree with it, you're like, you shut up and you just get to it, right? We
Yeah,
operate in a hierarchy. Women might come to the same decision that men did, the logical, smart decision. They might well do that. But every woman has to speak. Every woman, whether
yes,
she agrees or not, she's going to have to talk. So where the men are already halfway done with the project, the women are still talking. This is the
yes,
reason why, maintaining the infrastructure and building the infrastructure, which is what we do, is
that's right.
such better in men's hands because of the hierarchy system. Women just can't get out of their own way. And that's why that the patriarchy functions, because patriarchy is not about creating culture. It's not about creating society. It's about creating infrastructure. That's what it
Yes.
does, and it does it really well. And the whole time the men are doing that, women are creating the culture and the social etiquette and the situation inside the community. They are doing
Hmm.
that. The problem is these days we see with women in the West is the kind of the general curiosity and selfishness of the female, which is a DNA survival code, right? It's
Yep.
it's not necessarily a
Good
bad
for
thing.
them, actually.
It is,
Yeah.
but what they're doing is with this thinking they have to be involved in everything. Men don't. I have no interest in going to a woman's group or being part of a woman's thing. They can have their own thing. I'm just fine with it. But they can't stand to not be part of everything we do, right?
Especially in the age of TikTok in
Well,
the social media
it's
platform.
it's really bad. Here in Japan, women understand that men have their thing. Like for instance, you put a jiggly boob anime girl in front of a Western audience, you're gonna have a bunch of angry women, right? But here in
Yeah,
Japan, the women understand that men like boobs. They
we do, in
like the
fact.
tatas, and they
We've
have
pretty
no
much
problem
come
with it.
to a unanimous decision that we're in favor of boobs.
We
I think
are,
that's.
we
There
like
might not
them.
be many things on Earth that all men agree on. That'd be one. That might
That
be
would
it.
be the one.
That might
It
be the
would be
one.
the one.
Yeah.
But I mean, I'm just saying that, the women here don't get upset about it because it's like,
Yeah.
well, yeah, of course men like boobs. What's wrong with that?
Yeah. I don't think most women anywhere do. You just have a very, very loud minority that do in America, especially and let's be honest, typically very ugly women. So it's
Well,
really just they're insecure about their own. their own appearance, and then they're not helping
Projection.
themselves by making themselves even more ugly, doing nonsense to their
Oh,
face and their
dude, it's
hair.
shocking how hardcore they go into that. Yeah.
It's great. It's genuinely a non-religious ritual masochism, a ritual. What's the word I'm looking for? Mutilation. I mean, they don't
Mhm.
fully mutilate. It's just superficial usually, but sometimes they do fully mutilate. But it's just so obvious that's what you're doing. Like, I
Yeah.
get now how people fell into these cult-like things and just started cutting off pieces of their hand and shit. Like, I get it now. It makes sense to me because I've watched these okay-looking women. Most of them aren't like ghoulish. They're okay, but they turn themselves ghoulish on
Yep.
purpose.
Yeah, I've seen a
Yeah,
couple of runs on that. Yeah, that's pretty sad. But anyway, I do have a couple stories to get to today. Would you like
let's
to?
talk about it. Let's start solving all the problems, all the world's problems, and let's start shitting on some dumb people. Can we do
Yeah,
it?
that we could.
I
We
like it.
could.
I like that.
I got my thing up already, so let me go ahead and bring it up and get to it. So, first thing, I thought it just made me chuckle.
James Gunn responds to Sean Gunn playing multiple characters in the DCU. Ah, yes. Remember that word you used earlier, Chester? Nepotism?
Nepotism, yeah. Yeah.
Hmm,
But it's like, are you
interesting.
surprised?
No,
I
no,
mean, Adam
no.
Sandler has his group of buddies and they all get in the same movies. Every damn movie, he's out there trying to make
Yeah.
everybody money.
And
It
look, I get it
Mhm.
on a very basic level, right? These are your boys. You know, you get along with them. It's easier to work with people you get along with. Making these movies is not easy work. It's very hard work. So you want to be surrounded by people who are easy to get along with. So
Yeah,
I get that. I get it, but it's still nepotism. Like it
it
just
is.
is.
But to be fair, it is nepotism, 100%. But to be fair, Sean's pretty good at what he does. I mean, he
Yeah, he's
is.
not a bad actor.
It's like
No, he's not a bad.
Sam Raimi and his brother, right?
Yeah,
It's
yeah,
very
Ted.
similar, but he is getting a lot of opportunity. Let's take a look here. He's going to be Maxwell. He's going to be Maxwell Lord. Okay, which we saw Pedro Pascal in the Wonder Woman movie played that character. So this is a reboot of it. He
Yeah,
plays the Weasel in the Suicide Squad, which is a voice basically. He's voicing GI Robot Creature Commando animated series, and of course he's also in Guardians of the Galaxies. He's got himself four parts, and people are upset. And it's like, well, you know, I don't know what to tell you. I don't have a problem with Sean. I kind of enjoy him. Each one of these characters, other than the Maxwell Lord one, you really can't see him anyway. So I don't know. It doesn't bug me. I understand why people are upset about it, I suppose. But that's Hollywood, baby.
yeah,
Do you
yeah.
have trouble with James Gunn's nepotism, Grimlock?
You said everybody has got their people. Like
Yeah, of
if I was in that position, I'd be doing something very similar.
Yeah, yeah,
course you would.
absolutely.
So
Yeah.
It's the way the
You don't
world
want a
goes
bunch of
around, dude.
I
assholes.
I, I, I hate this self righteous shit. I hear people look. Can we please stop with the naive battle cry of the best person for the job?
Yeah,
Oh, it's
We
it's
know
nuts.
that's
rare.
not how Hollywood. We know that's not how Hollywood
Of course not.
functions. It's never been how Hollywood functions, and it probably never will be how Hollywood functions.
Well, let me tell you this. If I got in a situation where I was making movies, Grimlock, you would be my dynamite every time. Every time.
I'm just gonna tell people if people really think that whole best person for the job thing works, um, let's. I'm gonna use this movie for an example. Batman Returns. Had it not been for some nepotism, you do not get Michelle Pfeiffer and Danny DeVito in that movie at all.
Yeah, that's fair. It
True.
It
happens all
doesn't
the
happen.
time. 'Cause it's not always a bad thing. Like I said, him playing, I can't remember his character in Guardians of the Galaxy, but I like the character. Right? I think he's a good actor, Sean.
Yep.
I saw the Weasel character and his voicing. I didn't know it was him. He did
I didn't
fine,
either. I had no
right?
idea.
Playing GI Robot and Creature Commando, I'm sure he's fine. I mean, if it were nepotism, like would say with Brie Larson, right, and Kevin Feige, there's clearly nepotism going on there, right? And
Yep.
that's different because she is not. a good actress. She's not good at what she
No.
does. She doesn't bring anything to you.
Charisma
She doesn't.
vacuum.
Well, she is, but she also doesn't benefit or grow the brand. She's not out there selling it. She's
In fact,
doing
she
quite
does the
the
other.
opposite, right?
Names.
Whereas
Yeah.
Sean is good at what he does, and I've seen him do several interviews. He's very happy. He's very excited to be part of the project. He's talking it up as you should be, right? So it depends on the nepotism, I guess.
Well, the other thing is I think we have in a lot of American society, especially, there's this anti-nepotism. In some cases, even rules and regulations against it,
Oh yeah,
and I think that's stupid. To be honest with you, I think most of society throughout all of human history has ran off of nepotism. For crying out loud, that's how kings and queens became kings and queens most of the time. Uh,
no,
there's a
100%.
reason
Yeah.
for that. And I think it's actually probably, I mean, think about it for a second. Why should you not take care of your family? Say you start a business and it starts kicking on all gears, right? You're making a lot of money. Why would you not want to bring in, if they're a good, a decent person, obviously you have to consider that. But if you have like a brother who's a hard worker and he just never found a good career or something, or maybe he has a good one, but he can make way more money with you, why wouldn't you bring your brother on? At least try it. If it doesn't work out, it doesn't work out. But why wouldn't you? Or if you have
No,
a friend or
absolutely. Yeah.
whatever, why wouldn't you want somebody who you know cares about you outside of this on your side?
hmm
That just makes sense to me to build a clan. That's basically what you're doing. You're building a business clan. Well, Sean and his brother are part of the Gun Media clan, and they make movies and things together.
They do.
Um, I think I honestly, I don't mind it one bit. I think, listen, you probably won't find a bigger detractor to James Gunn than me. But this is not something I care about. I think
No.
it's good that he takes care of his brother because it's not like he's just giving him a role. His brother's a good actor.
Yeah,
He's
he's
fine. He
solid.
does a good
He's
job.
pretty solid. Yeah.
Yeah.
So
But
yeah.
also, it's not like he's getting top billing. He's getting
No.
minor roles.
Yeah.
These are roles, and a lot of people don't understand. Like you said, you named like 4 roles. None of them are major. And
No, he's a character actor.
actors,
Yeah.
most actors in Hollywood, that's what they're doing.
Yeah.
They're doing multiple roles, and not to discredit him. He's probably working for cheaper than it would be to cast 4
Probably.
separate people for each
That's probably true.
of those roles.
Well, and
Right. He just
and
has a
character
contract.
actors are the backbone of any movie industry in the world, right?
Yeah.
Like to give a good example of a character actor movie, because sometimes you'll get a movie that's just character actors in it, right? Usually it's a lower budget movie. But there was a movie came out. We watched it on, I don't know, Netflix or Amazon Prime or something like that. My wife wanted to watch it, and it was about 9/11. But it was from the point of view of the airline people in the tower. The air control
Air
people,
traffic.
air traffic control people. It was from their point of view, and it was fantastic. What a great little acted movie. I mean, the story you might like or not, but I mean, I would talk about the acting, right? Very, very,
Hmm.
very good. And there's not a named person in that movie, but you recognize everybody because it's a character movie, character actor movie. And sometimes you'll get those, and it really shows you the power of these people because they're really good actors,
Yep.
right?
Yep.
They're just not that, they don't have the charisma of that main dude. Although I think Sean
Right.
might be able to, though, because he's very
Depending on the
likable.
role.
He's very
Depends on the
likable.
role. He could do if it was a medium to small budget like detective series or something. I think
Yeah,
he could pull
there
that
you
off.
go.
Yeah, like
Yeah,
noir almost. Yeah,
yeah.
neo noir something like that.
Give
Yeah,
him
like
Mike Hammer. He could
yeah,
be the
he
new
could probably pull
Stacy
that off.
Keach.
Yep. I honestly, I think you're right. I think he could. I to be honest, I didn't even know he was his brother until somebody pointed it out. He's just one of those guys who's in stuff,
Yeah,
right? He's just like you said, a character actor who just pops up here or there. And I was like, oh, okay, that makes
yeah.
sense.
Well, he's
Because
very
let's be
warm. He's
honest,
very human. Yeah.
the vast majority of Hollywood's actors that people know, well, maybe not the vast majority, but a big majority of the actors that people know are there because they knew somebody in the business, right? They
hmm
didn't they
Sure.
didn't just pop in one day and take over. It's very rare that happens.
It's like the
Even
Masons.
people you don't realize, like Nicolas Cage is, I think he's Coppola's nephew or something like
Yeah,
that.
no,
Like,
he's a Coppola. Yeah,
yeah.
yeah,
So like that's what I'm saying. And then they'll do that too. They'll change their name or whatever, use a stage name so you don't know it. Um, and I don't think there's anything wrong with that. And the only reason they have to do that is because of this anti nepotism thing that is in America. Mostly, it's mostly just America. I don't know. Maybe it's other places too, but I only ever hear coming out of here where we have this idea that people should never hire their own son or something. Like, it's just
yeah.
stupid. Of
No,
course you're
I've
going to
never
hire your
agreed with it.
kid. Why wouldn't you?
Yeah, it just depends on how it's being done. If you have
Yes.
your friend or family is involved in something and they're incompetent, don't do that. That's
Yeah.
the
Don't do
issue.
that. No. No.
The competence
Yeah.
is the issue, and this is not an issue here, which is why we don't care about it. However, on the side, I haven't covered these stories, but it is very interesting to look what's trending, though.
Oh.
Fantastic Four, the casting rumors are true because this is all about Sue Storm. So go girl.
Yep.
The ending
Yep.
of which changed probably 1,000 times in Indiana Jones. Be fair,
Oh yeah.
Marvel is not happy with Ironheart. No.
Nobody is, ever
Uh,
Yeah.
was, and ever
yeah,
will
it's
be.
such a stupid character. That is spite. That's a spiteful character.
Yep.
Loki
And it's such
season
a
two.
cool name too. It should be a good character.
It
But
could
no.
be, yeah.
No.
Loses massive amount of something, but it's like, of course it did. It sucks. I'm going to talk about this one, and of course Moon Knight. They killed him, but we got a new Moon
Get it?
Knight immediately though, Grimlock, and it's a black
Infinitely better.
lesbian lady.
Infinitely better.
Hmm
Upgrade.
I've seen back and forth. It's not her. Some people said that they've been, I guess, who have been reading that run
They
and
red
saying it's
herringed
not
it.
her.
They
Well,
did the
I'm
red
guessing
herring.
so.
until I'm
Yeah,
proven wrong. So, because I saw it. No, because I saw it.
I know. I saw it too. Everybody was talking about it, but
I literally saw the
I read some
character
people
in
said,
panel.
yeah, but they're saying that's not. She's not
Maybe
the
it's a
new
red
moon
herring. It could be a red herring. Sure.
because technically he's not even dead yet. He doesn't get killed into the next issue.
Yeah, no, it could be a red herring, but you know how they are. You
Yeah,
know how they are. Uh,
it doesn't surprise me.
yeah, I thought we'd move on to because I get the story, I get it, we all get it, but I don't agree with it because, like I said, this is a type of nepotism that works, and there
Yeah,
are many examples of it. Sam Raimi is a perfect example. His brother is a great
yeah.
fun actor, right?
And Bruce Campbell, of course.
And of course, Bruce Campbell, another bit of nepotism, yeah. But then again, the chin always wins in the end, dude. Nevertheless, this right here I thought was interesting.
Superman Legacy cast Miriam Shore as head of CIA.
Now, this is the story here is talking about this casting of this lady, and it's like, okay, whatever, I could care less. And it's going into talking about they're kind of doing a Middle Eastern thing, so maybe we're going to have some Middle Eastern bad guys, which would be an interesting choice for Gunn. But this doesn't matter to me. What I thought was interesting in this is we have full
Batman
confirmation
versus
of,
Hamas. Do it.
you
Do
know,
it.
dude, that
I
please get it.
dare you. Do it.
That would be great. But the thing with it is here is that this article gives me a complete confirmation of exactly who's in it. We do have a
Uh
white,
oh.
redheaded Jimmy Olsen. Thank you.
They're coming back,
Um,
boys. It's a
now
resurgence. The
here
Gingers
is
are coming back.
here is Cornball Sweat, our new Superman.
Yeah. Yeah. He's
He
a
looks okay.
pale comparison
My,
to Henry.
he looks all right though. He's not. He's the discount Henry is what he is.
Yeah.
But I mean, he looks okay
Walmart
for
brand.
Superman. I mean, look at him. It's okay.
I, I, I feel bad for that guy because there was nobody he was going to cast after Henry that people were going to accept. The only thing that people would have been somewhat pleased with is if you had like a clone of Henry that was 10 years younger. Everybody like, oh, Henry.
Henry too.
Henry
No,
too.
Yeah.
what he should have done, he would
Well, he
have
kind of
saved
looks
himself
like
this
Henry, to be
entire
honest with you.
problem if he just gave us a Henry film that was a one-off and then went into his new
Yeah,
Superman.
that would have been smarter. But there was clearly something
I
going on
I
behind
still
the
don't
scenes,
know how
dude.
much of
Clearly.
that is Zaslav and because
Yeah.
a lot of the decision making around that like didn't make sense.
Yeah, I don't think it had anything to do with
But
Gunn at all, dude.
you was willing, you was like, I mean, you was willing to axe Batgirl, which was the correct decision. but you didn't axe the Flash.
Which
Then
you should have.
you bring Gunn in, and on one hand you have him promoting the upcoming slate of movies that you didn't axe, but at the same time you told him to tell the world that these movies don't matter. So it's like,
Yeah, it
really?
was weird. It was weird. It's true. We'll see how it works out because we're going to be coming into actual gun stuff here soon. So we'll see. But anyway, here's the thing: we have a full cast, which is good. Corn Sweat here is playing Clark or Kal-El, right?
You get a
Now,
man the red drawers, man. Come on.
well, let me see. Does he have it? No, no,
No, of
No.
course not. We
no
have to
drawer.
look at his dick.
There it is.
I'm
Superman
so
does not
sick of
need
it.
blue balls.
Looks like a little bit of
Let's just get
packing
that
going
right.
on there with this AI art, but it's okay. All right.
Yeah.
But
No, if Superman ain't rocking his drawers, I'm out. I don't care if it's the best Superman thing ever made. Period. I don't care.
he
I
needs the
want the little
drawers.
red drawers,
He
or I
needs
ain't
them.
watching it.
He needs them. But anyway,
Needs them.
that's
Sick
not
of
my
this.
question. You're getting off topic. All right. Now, look at this boy, this young man. He's very Henry-esque. But look at him. How old would you say he is?
Mid to
Oh,
late.
mid 30s,
He's exactly
early.
30. Precisely.
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah.
Now, I
So
went to
potentially he's got 20 years to do this.
he does, and he's got a Henry look. I think he looks fine for Superman, and we don't know. I don't know his acting, so we'll see. But here's the thing: I looked at all the other cast, and the girl doing Hawk Girl's kind of got a Middle Eastern thingy, Persian thing going on. It's like, all right, fine. There's nothing wrong with that. I looked at all the different actors, and they look fine. It doesn't look like Gunn is going the full hardcore race and gender swap here. He's going pretty normal, right? Now, the one that stuck out to me was Lois Lane. Now, Lois Lane is being played by an actress by the name of. Now, by the way, Nathan Fillion is playing Guy Gardner.
I saw
Yes,
that.
yes, please,
Saw that.
That
yes,
makes
please.
sense.
Yeah, but Rachel Brosnahan, whatever that is, she's playing Lois Lane. I was like,
The
okay,
fuck
okay,
kind of name is that?
I don't know,
Brosnahan.
Brosnahan. But
It's
anyway,
clearly Brosnahan. You
but anyway,
prick.
we, we got this young man who looks the part. He looks the part. Now Lois Lane. Now Lois has never been portrayed like a Mary Jane. Now Mary Jane, Spider-Man's girl, is supposed to be a mega hottie. That's her thing.
Yep.
And in the new Spider-Man game, she's far from it. But then again, that game's full of woke shit. Okay, I don't know we're going to get such a heavy dose of wokeness from Gunn. We'll get a little bit, but I don't think it'll be that hard. But we'll see. But the thing is,
You know what?
l-
I'll say this: just because he actually cast a ginger Jimmy Olsen,
mhm,
I think he's reading. I think Gunn's reading the landscape,
think he is.
and
Yeah.
and for better or worse, whether people think he, about those jokes or not, even if they were just jokes, they were idiotic. But I think he learned a little bit from that. I think he
Maybe
learned,
edge lord.
yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
He's if and no, well, not just that. He knows how quick the mob will come for his
Oh yeah.
ass
Oh
if
yeah.
he fucks up.
It's true.
And but he's also seeing that that mob is losing power to this mob,
To the
and
bigger
this
mob,
mob has
the
and
actual
this
mob.
mob has
Yeah.
money.
That's right.
See that
Um.
that mob he was kowtowing to wasn't paying the groceries.
No.
This racist and bigoted mob you got over here, we're paying the groceries.
That's right. That's right. But
If you want to
anyway,
keep eating, you keep the bigotry going.
that's true. But back on target again. Okay. Um, now Lois doesn't need to be a hottie, right? She doesn't. She's just kind of normal girl. She's a hot go getter reporter. She's literally a journalist, and she's quite tenacious in her role as a journalist. That's Lois Lane, right? And he respects her mind. He respects her tenacity, and he truly fell in love with this woman. She's not a beauty, but she's also not attractive, right? That's Lois Lane. Would you like to see what you're getting for Lois Lane? Would you like to? I'm going to show you. You ready?
Let's go. Let's do it.
Whew, dude,
Mm,
dude. Now, how old would you say this girl is?
35.
Thundero.
At least. Yeah, at least.
She looks 40 something to me.
Yeah,
Look at the
that's why I
freaking
said at
layer
least.
of makeup. Look at the layer of makeup on this girl. It's
We're not allowed
freaking.
to have a
I was
preload.
looking
It's
at I was looking
buttered
at the
on.
line.
It's buttered
I was
on.
looking at the line.
No, that's fine.
I just want to know why her one eye is going a different direction from the
Right.
other eye.
And she's cross-eyed. She's also got her eyes too close together, which is a departure from the fish eyes we got recently. These walleye girls.
That's true.
So
They're going the other
they
way.
went the opposite direction. But she's
Yeah.
clearly got a little bit of lazy eye or some kind of cross-eye going on. But whatever. Okay, fine. But look at the freaking layer of makeup. Look at the crow's feet around her eyes that are trying to be hid by the makeup. Look at these cheek lines. Look at this freaking jaw that literally could kill Roman legion. I mean, look at this girl. You want to hear how old she is? 33.
I was off by
Wow.
2 years.
Yeah, you were, but the thing is, she looks way older than that, dude. This girl looks 43. So I'm like, wow, okay, so she's looks way too old. No matter, even though her age is
It's,
similar to his,
it's,
she looks
I'm
way
tell you
too
what.
old to be Lois Lane. For one, two, could
Uh,
you
uh,
found an uglier girl? Could you?
I'll say this. Sometimes the way these Hollywood women look, it's like, and I get that they have these fashion designers and these so-called trends, but I look at this picture, and I'm just going by this picture. Between that hair, the makeup, and that dress, she screams librarian. She does not scream Lois Lane.
No, Lois Lane, not at all. Lois Lane is active. She's tenacious. She's,
And
unafraid. Lois actually is stupidly unafraid. I'm sure Kal-El is often upset with her
stubborn.
her
It is
lack of caution, right? But
stubborn.
yeah, she's stubborn. Yeah, and that's
Yes.
cool. That's what Lois Lane is. She's a true
My,
powerful woman, an actual one, right?
see,
As you would
Mike,
expect for frickin' Superman, right?
for so
my thing.
long now,
Okay,
we've had these ugly women, and I say ugly because that's what they are. Women playing Lois Lane. Even in the last iteration, they had that redhead chick, Amy Adams, whatever her name is,
Hmm.
and she's just not. She's not attractive. She's just not. She's
Yeah, but
not.
it's
I mean,
way
she's. I
better than
guess
this, though. Way better.
nah, not
Nah,
really.
nah,
I'd say it's the
nah,
same. I'd say it's
nah.
equal. They're both hideous.
no,
I don't want them anywhere near
they
Lois
was
Lane. I don't want them on in my movies. Um, the last time
okay.
we got at least decent looking Lois was Smallville, and she was very pretty. But still,
Let's
I
just say it.
think they should go with.
We got
Go ahead.
spoiled by Terry.
That's what I was
That's what
getting
it
to.
is.
We should just go back
We got
to. We need to check the caliber of Terry Hatcher again to balance these scales out.
Yeah, and
Because
I feel that's what they're trying to go with her because you can almost vaguely see a little bit of Terry Hatcher in her.
hell no.
Yeah,
I
well, I
disagree
can
with that.
see the edge of it, right? But that girl was kind of a perfect choice for Lois, right? Now, however, you mentioned Smallville. We got a lot of Lang that, oh, baby, whew. I mean, they race swapped her, but I'm okay with it. Hmm.
yeah,
That was a hottie. I don't know that girl's name, but she's smoking, dude. Um,
yeah.
but okay. Well, Lois doesn't need to be a beauty. It's okay. But I just don't
No, I
understand
think she
this
does.
choice, dude.
I I would say I disagree with that, and the reason I disagree with it is not because in the comic book she's supposed to be this super hottie or whatever. She's not. She's like you
She's
said, just
not.
a above
Normal
average
girl.
attractiveness, but has a lot of personality. Uh, it's because I'm sick of ugly bitches on my movie screens. All right,
Yeah,
I'm
fair.
sick of it.
Yeah,
And if we're
fair.
gonna have a DCU and Lois is gonna be a central figure because she's gonna be, I
As
want her
she
to
should
be.
be.
I want her to be beautiful. Damn it! I don't think that's too much to ask.
No,
I'm
I agree.
sorry, but I'm not backing off on that one. Look at the guy playing Superman. That's a good looking cat.
That's what I
That's
mean.
a good looking cat.
They don't match. And
Yeah.
she could be a
You know,
great actress. I don't know. She could be a great
she
actress.
looks in this picture. She looks like she's gonna play J.K. Rowling in a Lifetime
Oh
movie
yeah,
version
that's
of her mind.
exactly correct.
That's
That's
what
what she
she looks
looks like.
like.
Yeah, you're right. She does look like Rollins. But Rollins.
Which is fine, but it's not Lois Lane. And again, like you said, she does not have to be a smoke show to
Mm-mm.
be Lois Lane but can she please at least look better than your local cashier at Walmart?
He's
And,
got to be
Because
at
it,
least a 7.5
well, keep in
for
mind,
Lois,
I
minimum.
chose a better picture of her. There were
Yeah,
worse, but I didn't want to do that. I didn't want to go and choose the
yeah,
worst picture I could find. I wanted to find something neutral, and this is the one I chose. But yeah, this is not an attractive girl. Like I said, she could be a great actress. She could be. And for all I know, but it's just like, really? Again? We keep getting these ugly girls constantly, you know? But and it just doesn't look at it. Just look at it, dude. It doesn't make
yeah.
sense. It
It
doesn't
was just like Henry and
match.
the other bitch. He was way out of her league, and it was obvious. Like the whole point of this, even as Clark, he was out of her league. The whole point of this is she's supposed to be something that Clark feels some kind of way about.
Yeah.
Why would he feel some kind of way about a girl that's clearly uglier than him? Like, obviously not as attractive as him. That's just not reality.
Yeah.
It's very, very rare when a man goes down when it comes to his woman, right? Now he'll usually go parody. I'd say most men end up with parody, but we obviously most of us would look up to, we want to go up on the scale. Um, so this constant push for these ugly bitches, like you mentioned, Mary Jane. Mary Jane is supposed to be a smoke show. That's the whole
She's
point of her.
supposed to
Is she's
be, yeah.
way out of Peter's league, way out of Peter's league, but he still gets her anyway because reasons.
Why can't
Um,
why I put it in very clearly. Why are you giving me this
oh
TV
my,
show?
it's just so I'm so fucking done with it. I'm done with Hollywood continuously pushing mediocre to below mediocre women onto the movie screens when I can go outside in fucking Ohio, go to any store and
Yeah, they
find
got
one
that
that's way
wrong.
prettier than any of them. And it's just it's clearly intentional. And they've done this before. This isn't new. It's not some woke agenda or whatever. I mean, that's part of it, but that's not really what it is because they did the same shit in the 70s too. In the late 70s, it was replete with ugly bitches in all sorts of movies. They were
Yeah.
everywhere. They were all over the place. And
Margot
we're back
Kidder.
to that.
What about Terry Hatcher? Who threw me that way? And Margot Kidder. Sorry. Um, yeah.
Yeah,
Now the thing
yeah,
with it is, she's not a bad looking lady at all. For sure. But the chemistry between these two was wonderful. They
yeah.
look correct. You got freaking Christopher Reeves here, killer Superman, and Margot Kidder. They just look good together, dude. I mean, look at them. It looks good, and that's important, right? You want chemistry, but this and that. I mean, this lady could be his like aunt or
Yes, she looks
something.
like an ant.
It
She
doesn't
looks like.
it doesn't look like, this right here, which, we have obviously they're same age. They look good together without even seeing them act. Oh, this is a perfect picture right here to give us a good look,
Mhm.
right? I mean, it's but of course in the show they have this great chemistry, and that's
I
acting
still
ability,
think
right?
I'd say I want Terry Hatcher levels of hot for Lois now. And the only reason is because, like I said, Hollywood's been for too long pushing this ugly nonsense, and
Yeah,
also because
that was the
I
Dean
think
Cain Superman. I see.
yes, I think the best looking Superman and Lois we ever got was that show. Was him and young Dean Cain. He was a beautiful man,
Oh yeah,
and
good looking dude.
Cherry in her prime was
She
just
was
an
smoking. That's
absolute
true. Yeah,
smoke
yeah,
show.
yeah.
Holy
My
shit!
brain, I went to this immediately. These two, but I
Yeah,
get what you're
no,
saying. They got it wrong.
that's about right. But I personally I'm tired of it. I don't want to look. I can see plain whenever I want to see plain. It's everywhere. That's why it's called plain. I want I want glamour again in Hollywood. Damn it! If I'm gonna spend all this money watching these damn movies, which I'm probably not gonna, but if you want me to, you're gonna have to sweeten the deal here.
Mhm.
And part of that's gonna have to be eye candy. I need beautiful women back. We've had plenty of beautiful dudes, absolute studs, all over the place in
Oh yeah,
Hollywood right now.
yep,
But for some reason, we still got librarians
yeah. I
playing
know.
all the women.
This right here is what we got. It's weird. But the thing too with the great, just wonderful chemistry these two had on screen, it shows you their acting ability because we know he's a extremely gay man.
Why you got to throw shade at Chris?
I'm not throwing shade at all. I'm throwing praise at him. He doesn't dig chicks, but in that movie, you thought he dug her.
Oh,
That's what I mean.
poor
Good acting,
Chris.
right?
First the horse kicks him, and now you're out here just downing him.
I'm not downing it. I'm actually praising his acting ability, right? Her too, right? But anyway, this is ridiculous nonsense. Moving
Yep.
on. Oh my.
Zack Snyder Rebel Moon reactions. So disappointing. Yeah.
What a
Yeah.
shame. Wah wah.
Well,
Exactly. Because it looks like some wonderful production value going on, but once again, girl power all day.
what we keep getting though. We keep
Yeah.
getting these shows and these movies and whatnot that have gorgeous, just
Beautiful.
gorgeous cinematography, gorgeous production values. They look amazing. They sound amazing. And then they just take a big stinking flopping shit right in the middle of the damn room with everything else. It's all so tiresome, Chester. It's all so tiresome.
So
Which is what
the
Snyder's
lead
really good
character's
at.
name is Jimmy. Wonderful.
Of course it is.
Yeah, these reviews are mixed. Some love it, some hate it. But then again, we know we have shills, and then we have actual, critics. But
Yep.
I've heard a lot of noise about this, where the critics are very, very unhappy with it. It's beautiful looking, but the acting is not good, and it's just kind of over the top. But yeah, it's like all they can
And
do is
Snyder has a weird group of fans who,
he
for some
does.
Cult.
reason, thinks the man is a brilliant director. And I'm gonna say, at best, he's decent at casting. And then I'm glad the Snyderverse is over. For the
Oh,
fanboys who are still pining for that shit,
Well, at least
please
she's not a
stop.
bad-looking girl.
she's fine.
That's an attractive girl. Yeah. I
It's
mean,
an
I'll be
improvement
back in a
anyway.
second, guys. Tell them what Rebel Moon is.
I have
Hey,
no
Star
idea,
Wars
so I
girl.
can't. Never even heard of it till this moment.
Let's just cut this shit. It's Star Wars, but not
Well, it's
Star
funny
Wars.
you say that because here's what I was literally thinking this while you guys were just talking a minute ago. The problem that they're having, they want all these strong female leads, yeah? They've been
Mhm.
chasing, and especially with this art and this character here, they've been chasing Leia since Leia debuted. And no one or very few have ever been able to create a actually strong female character like Leia because they are, well, terrible at everything they touch, but also because they don't understand what makes Leia work. Leia doesn't work because she's sassy. Her sassiness
Yeah.
is part of her character, sure, but that's not why people love Leia. People love Leia because that sassiness isn't real. You understand? That's the nuance of that character. She's doing that because she has to. She's doing that to survive. It's not that that's who she really is. We see who she really is when she's in quiet moments with Luke, when she's in quiet moments with Han. That's who Leia really is. The sass, the attitude, all that stuff is an affectation of her environment. It has nothing to do with who she is as a person. The difference is the people watching it that want to make their own version have decided that that's not correct, and instead they take the sassiness as a character trait. When that wasn't a character trait, it was an expression of her situation. Whenever she's in trouble, she's sassy, she's snarky. It's how she disarms people. It's how she, survives in situations where she probably wouldn't otherwise. It's a defense mechanism. And these people completely misunderstand, I think sometimes intentionally, but also just because they're hacks, why that character worked so well. And because of this, we get things like this show where you have and other plenty of other examples of the Yes Queen Slay meme where these women are just insufferable. They're not sassy because, there's no externality to it. They're just bitches. That's it. You're just a bitch. You're not. There's no nuance to it. There's no depth. You're just a miserable, horrible person to be around. And for some reason, these writers and directors and shit have convinced themselves that that's what a strong woman is like. No, a strong woman is not like that. A strong woman is not annoying to be around. that's that's just not how it is. And that's where we're at now. They've been chasing Leia since Leia showed up, and especially nowadays where you have these people who are complete zealots for this feminist, whatever you want to call it, ideology. They think that they can recreate a character like that by taking one personality affectation she has and a quirk of her personality, if you will, and make that the character. That's all the character. The character's nothing but sarcasm and sass. There's no actual depth to it. There's no real concern for anybody other than themselves. None of these things. It's shocking how something as simple as the original Star Wars trilogy, which is a very simple movie series, that's not it's not really that complicated, but it's well made and has great nuance in certain areas like its character work, how so many people in modern Hollywood are chasing specters from that and they can't get it right. They just can't. They just keep fumbling the ball, and it's so unbelievably tiresome how they continuously get it wrong because they can't put down their own bigotry, which is what it is, their own biases, and accept that their version of the world is flawed. And because of that, they keep making these characters that are just they're unlikable. The reason why people have a lot of people relate to the villain is because they make the villain relatable. What are you doing?
Like Wish, yeah.
Yeah.
Well,
Why would you do that?
part of it is, as you've said so many times before, we have a lot of hacks
Yeah.
in the business right now
Hack
because
Snyder.
and I'll say this, it is a problem in general with female characters because it seems to me that a lot of writers, especially these newer writers, don't know what made these female characters work. Don't know what they made these female characters popular because it's not just Leia. You can throw in Wonder Woman.
Yeah.
You can throw in Storm.
Mhm.
You can throw in Sue Storm. You can throw in Starfire. You can throw in uh, Tila from Masters of the Universe. Even Shira. You can throw these kind of women into this pool where most people don't know what made them. Either don't understand what makes them work or thinks that it's just this one thing that made this character work. And it's not just that. It's it's like you said. Yes, Leia was sassy, but it was a defense mechanism. She was staring. There was in just the in A New Hope. She's staring down the barrel of death twice.
Yes. Yes. Right away. Right out of the gun.
Yeah.
So
Um,
she's
yeah.
and she's tortured early on. We forget that part. Where Vader comes in with the little fucking droid thing with the needle on it. He
Oh,
tortured
yeah.
us.
Yeah, and
So
then she
she
crumbles completely in Han Solo's arms.
she's go yeah, but I mean she went through some shit.
And she kissed her brother just in
She
Almost
did
get
spite
kiss
of
her
him.
brother.
almost almost get crushed in a trash compactor with God knows what crawling in it. No,
Listen, he
she
took
she
us
had
to a galaxy far, far away called Alabama. All right, just
He
calm
did.
down.
He did.
she had to go through some shit. Is what I'm saying.
Yeah. Well, did you
She
guys
didn't
tell him
just
what Rebel
grow
Moon's
up.
about?
I have no idea. I'd never heard of
Oh,
it until this
okay.
moment.
Well, what we have here, okay, is Zack Snyder wanted to do a Star Wars movie, and someone said,
Mm.
"No, Zack, no."
No,
He was denied. He's like, "Fine, I'll
no
do it
talent.
myself." And in his infinite wisdom of making his own Star Wars, he decided to go the Fern Gully route again, a la
What a surprise!
Avatar. And that's what this is. This is the Empire coming in and attacking the Na'vi.
Oh
It's what it
God,
is. It's a literal for another Fern Gully ripoff. It's
no
Avatar
originality.
via Star Wars. And she's one of the native locals, and she's a badass, the baddest ass on the planet. Now, to be fair,
That's
this dude next to her, who was in Sons of Anarchy and a pretty good King Arthur movie, to be fair, I
that
like
bombed
him.
horribly.
It unfortunately, it was a good movie though. I like him. This black dude over here, I like him when I see him. I like him. He's a pretty good actor.
Yep.
I don't know who this lady is offhand. It looks like Rose Tico, which is probably a bad thing. But the problem that he's having with this is it's clearly rote ripoff of not only Star Wars but of Avatar, which would be in modern people's minds, right? Avatar, not Fern Gully, or whatever Fern Gully ripped off. But it's such a lame attempt at it. The only good thing is the visual, and we know Zack Snyder kicks ass on visuals. We know he's really good at that. He's like Villeneuve, that guy and his visuals. They're wonderful. When Zack Snyder, you're never going to complain about his visuals because they're gorgeous, and this movie is gorgeous. But it's just the storytelling and stuff. It's just kind of nonsense, which is kind of what we see Zack Snyder do. Nonsense storytelling, as if his father, Papa Kent would sit there and say, "No, son, let me die. Be a coward." As if we know exactly what Papa Kent would do because we have how many decades of books about Papa Kent, right? Am I alone here?
Yes.
What? It's not, oh,
No, you're right.
No,
I had my mic muted for a second, but
yeah.
yes.
It's
Um,
it's so ridiculous, dude. I
Kent,
mean,
Papa Kent would have probably went with him to help people. Like he wouldn't have just been like, "Hey, go handle that." If he was able, he'd be helping them.
yeah, and
So
it's so ridiculous. And Grimlock mentioned casting. To be fair, Zach's actually not bad at casting. He's not bad.
that's what I said.
Uh,
That's his best. That's the
he's
thing he
good
does
at that,
best.
and his visuals, his
Take away
visual
Ezra
image.
Miller, but I mean,
Well, but I can see why he chose him though, right?
he was a
Um,
terrible.
yeah, but Ezra, I mean, Ezra became a grenade, right? To be fair, but
He wasn't good. He wasn't good before that. When I saw him when he showed up in Justice League, he was terrible then.
he was. It was. You're right. You're right. But I'm talking
give me
about
a blonde Barry Allen.
I'm talking about Kevin Costner, right? And Kevin Costner actually is a genius choice for Papa Kent. He
Yep,
just is. I
he's
was like,
perfect.
oh, okay, all right, right. But he should have been Papa Kent, and he should have been around for a couple of movies, right? You could have killed him off eventually and left just Mama. Okay, I mean, you could have done that, but you needed him for at least a couple movies because he is the anchor. Because we see
Yes.
what happens with Kara, right?
Hmm.
Clark tries to be a mentor to her, and he kind of fails at it. He doesn't have the skill that Papa Kent had, right?
Yep.
He tries to mentor Kira, but she gets kind of out of control. And if you look what DC did with it, they took her to a very dark place. Kind of similar what they did with Miss Mary Marvel, right?
Hmm.
Because and that's a great storyline. The fall and destruction of Marvel. It's quite an interesting storyline. But he just doesn't have the ability to tell the story that we want. He it's like he doesn't want to give it to you. He's like, "No. No."
No,
Well, he's kind
can't
of
have
that
it.
way, isn't he? He doesn't want
Yeah.
to give you what you want. And this is why he's so controversial. He has his fans, and I get it because the casting is usually pretty solid and it's gorgeous. But he just he doesn't give. He's a taker, not a
Yeah.
giver. And this movie seems to be exactly the same thing. And of course, girl
Yeah.
power, which it isn't necessarily have to be a problem. You can have a female lead, but we know why. That's the problem. We know why,
Yep.
and look at her. I mean, like I said, she has a certain attractiveness to her, like a wild attractiveness to her, right? Um,
Yeah.
which is better.
Exotic.
Exotic, yeah, but kind of wild, kind of like the wood elf type, wild elf type of thing.
Mm.
But and that fits for this, but it's I don't know. It's just so much money is being burned, dude. So much money. I mean, just think
Yep.
what they could do with this money, and they're just
They could make
burning it.
good movies. They could
They
try
could.
that.
Well, for the
They could
money,
give it a shot.
that Marvel's putting out for their movies, they could make 5 good movies,
Yes.
5 really
Yeah.
good ones.
Especially in Marvel, bro. It's Marvel. It's the most grounded superhero shit there is. How are you spending $200 million on some of these movies? I don't understand.
It's
I
outrageous.
need someone to explain.
Yeah, it's no need. It's no
No.
need. Yeah, but whatever.
Here's what. Think about this for a second, Chester. Think about this. They're going to make a Blade movie allegedly. That's the. They keep threatening us with it.
Well, they just came out with a Blade game trailer, so
You could make a Blade movie with the same, in fact, a lower budget than the first or second John Wick movie easily. and it would be phenomenal because it would be tons of action and just kicking ass and blade chopping people up. If they can make the John Wick movies with a supreme A-list actor like Keanu Reeves, who I'm sure gets paid, he does okay for himself. Um, there's no reason you can't make a Blade movie with an actor who's going to get, he's going to demand less, he's going to command less money because he's a smaller name and whatever,
Sure.
for a similar budget that
Yeah.
looks just as good as the
Easy.
first or second or maybe even the
Easy.
third John Wick movie.
Yeah.
No reason you couldn't do it.
Yeah.
But they can't do it. They cannot control
they can't
themselves.
get away from the CG too, which is a big chunk on the budget. Captain Canada,
Yep.
sorry, buddy, love you. Love you. Your country's a bit screwed up, but love you. But
He's
Charlie
mad at
Cox,
CM.
yeah,
He's not mad at you. He's mad at CM Punk. It's fine.
that was that's true. That is true. But Charlie's King Arthur movie was a fine popcorn film, sir.
I've never seen it. I've wanted to watch it,
You
and a
should
few
watch it.
times I've decided, maybe I'll check it out, and then for some reason it never happened.
Yeah.
And the main reason I don't want to watch it is because it was supposed to be the beginning of like a 6-movie series.
Yeah, which is unfortunate because it was a solid little movie, dude. I mean, they departed from the original French story quite a
Mhm.
bit, but you can do that. You're making movies. You can tell a different story. It's okay.
Well,
It's
especially with
just how
Arthur.
you go about it, right? But I thought it was a fine little movie, dude. No problem whatsoever. And they came out with a second release of it, and I think it did a little bit better. But I don't know why that movie bombed because it's solid. It's a solid flick. It's better than a lot of crap we get now. But anyway, it sounds like another bomb incoming, dude.
Yep.
So and I thought we'd take a look at the dailies and the overalls, right? For today, your guys' Sunday. Look at what we got here. It's pretty low for a day. Usually, you could see a lot more on a Sunday than this. But
Yep.
look where number one is. New Miyazaki, new Ghibli movie. Shouldn't be
Yep.
shocking to anyone. To be honest with you, the Westerners missed out on the original launches of a lot of great Ghibli stuff. The first one to really hit was Sento Chihiro, right? In the West. And so, I mean, I think by now most people have seen the entire, filmography of Ghibli and Miyazaki, but they did miss out on some great, being there and being involved in the atmosphere it's released. But nevertheless, they know about them now. So we have a foreign Japanese animated movie at the top of the daily, the top of the week, the weekend as well. Did
Yep.
you ever imagine anything like that would happen? When's the last time we saw that happen? Maybe Sento Chihiro Akira, probably.
I don't know.
An
It
animated, a
depends.
Japanese animated
It's
movie.
probably happened, but I don't know when. I don't think the Demon Slayer movie did that. It might have.
No, it didn't. It didn't. Most certainly didn't. But the last one I could think, Sento Chihiro was a big hit, but it took a little time to had legs. But Akira
Yep.
hit like a frickin' bomb. No
Yep.
pun intended. Yes. But nevertheless, we got Hunger Games still just sucking up little bits of money. Now, this one in the long run might actually be close to not losing much because it was cheaper. Godzilla -1 still bringing in money, dude.
Good.
Trolls,
I hear it's actually phenomenal.
yeah,
Godzilla
people like
-1.
it.
So
Wish, just absolutely abysmal. Uh, but
I
it's
think
kind of crazy, dude.
we're seeing a correction, big time, that Hollywood has had long overdue. You see, as much as people want to shit on Marvel in the MCU and things, especially the snobby cinema people, right? It's not cinema, and it's not. But that franchise has kept your heads above water for a decade.
Yeah.
Because the reality is, nothing else, by and large, sells for shit.
Mhm.
There's a few exceptions here or there, but if you can probably look at the years going back, and I would say you'd find that superhero films, especially Marvel ones, are just the only thing making a ton of money. Nothing's making money except for Avatar and a few here or there. Nothing's making money like these films were for so long. And I genuinely think that we saw a massive inflation in expectations
Mhm.
from Hollywood because Marvel was just killing it. They were just banger after banger after banger for a good 5-6 years in a row,
They were.
and that inflated everybody's expectations. And I think we're now starting to see a correction down to a more stable, more realistic number for most of this stuff. And Hollywood's going to have to either adapt or perish,
No, they
and
will.
these
You're right.
budgets are going to have to
Lower
shrink.
these
They're
budgets.
just going to have to shrink.
You're right. Yeah. But look at this list we got here. What's going on? And it gives us totals, right? This is the first weekend for the new Miyazaki movie. 12 million or almost $13 million this weekend. Okay. Now,
Nice.
for a foreign animated movie, that's pretty good, right? And this thing will have legs because Miyazaki always has legs. This is going to make mad cash here in Asia without question. And
Yep.
like I said, the Westerners have kind of caught on to what Ghibli is, right? And I think this will
Mhm.
have legs. So, and we know Miyazaki is notorious for two things, right? Three things. He's a dick, particularly to his son, right? He
Mm.
likes the little girls, which even
Mhm.
Japanese think is creepy. That's a lot. That's saying a lot. And he
Mm.
is a tight-fisted bastard. So I don't know the
Yep.
budget of this, but I guarantee you they're probably already made money,
Oh, I'm
right?
sure. I would
Miyazaki's that
imagine. Yeah.
way. He's notorious for being tight budgeted. This thing is probably already in the black, dude. Now,
Yeah.
Hunger Games, they're about 40% there, and they ain't going to get it. They're not going to break even on Hunger Games. But it
No.
did better than a lot of people thought it would, to be honest with you. But it's not. This is a $150,000 movie. Plus, we don't know what the commercialism is. We've seen them be kind of drop that money, but let's say it's only 50 million. So that's a
Sure.
200 million. They need $400 million just to break even. They're not going to get that. Godzilla -1, and once again, a Japanese film. You know that the budget was tight. They might well be in the black already or close to it, right?
Yeah.
Trolls, no clue, no clue. But for one of those kind of movies, this is probably not bad. Wish, wow,
Bomb.
bomb, dude, bomb.
Yeah.
Beyonce, this probably making money because it's just a little documentary, so 28 million is probably making money. Napoleon, bomb, dude. That's
As it
they're
should have.
losing money.
Absolute piece of shit, that
Yeah,
film.
I don't know what these things are. Silent Night, yeah, well, it's a Christmas horror
Look at that
movie,
number 12 right there.
and it's bad. Yeah, no, that's what I'm getting to. This thing has bombed. This is weeks later, and this they're not doing more than this, and they're
I
nowhere
love
near
it.
making their money.
I love it.
Thanksgiving, they're probably in the black already, right? Because it's a horror movie. It's probably cost 10
Yeah, that
million to
make
make, 5,
right.
10 million, right? And actually, if you look at the reviews on this, and you look at the numbers it's getting, this is actually like a legitimate 7.5 ranked horror movie. Legitimate. It
That's what I
it
hear. Yeah, it's
sounds
pretty good.
awesome. Yeah.
Yeah. It has an interesting villain who has an interesting, a lot of horror movies. Like this is it's a horror movie, but it's also like a slasher type situation. Uh, you have to have a cool villain for that, right? It has to work. He or
Yeah, it
she
has to be
has to be
great.
something interesting. Yeah. So what I hear, it's pretty cool. It's a pretty interesting villain.
Yeah. Just looking at the other stuff here, nothing particularly interesting or jumping out at me. Five Nights at Freddy's, look at that. I bet you they're in the black for sure, dude.
Oh, I'd imagine. Yeah.
Yeah. Little horror movie like that, no big names. They might be 100 million plus in the black, dude.
Could be.
Yeah,
Yeah.
because I didn't see much advertising for that at all, and there's nothing in that movie that should cost much money.
Here,
But
let's look at this list real quick. Go back up real quick.
yeah,
It looks like, from what I'm seeing here, crazy as it might sound, go all the way up to the top, if you would please. What it looks like to me is maybe, just maybe, Hollywood needs to get their head out of their ass and make things people, I don't know, like.
hmm
I know, I know. Let's make things people like and do it with enough respect to the original thing that you're making the thing about,
hmm
so it doesn't come off as, well, trash or pandering or something in the middle. So like Five Nights at Freddy's, I hear, is fine. It's not great. It's not terrible, but it's fine. It does what it needs to do. What it's based off
Yeah,
of.
it's
Blah blah
for
blah. It's
kids.
based off of
They
video
made it
game.
for kids. Yeah.
Obviously, overall in the whole year, the two biggest movies this year, one was a Barbie movie, and the way you make that be representative of Barbie is you make, well, Barbie. And
Mm,
by and large, that's what they did. They did make
that
Barbie.
is what they
It
did.
looks
Yeah.
like Barbie. It has the aesthetics of Barbie. It feels like Barbie. They did a great job with the presentation of the movie, so it worked. The number two movie, Super Mario Brothers. Yet again, a video game franchise. That's interesting to me. Now, obviously, Mario is more than just a video game
Well,
franchise. It
it's
is quite
iconic.
literally
Yeah. It's,
the video game franchise. However, it's still a video game franchise. And what did they do? Well, they just made Mario.
yeah.
That's what that's just
They
what they
gave you
did.
what
They
you
didn't get in
want.
there and meddle. They didn't fuck around. They just made Super Mario
Yeah.
Brothers the movie,
They did.
and it was
And Jack
great.
Black as Bowser. Perfect choice.
Was perfect.
That's
It's
gas.
perfect. He looks like Bowser. He's just a little short, but he's
Yeah.
Bowser.
Yeah.
My point is Hollywood. Look at the numbers. They keep saying people don't know what they want. They don't know what they want. The audiences are confused. They don't know what they want. They're saying no. Nobody's confused. Look at the data. Look at it. It's right here. You got a whole year of it. Who did good? Who did bad? Why?
This is weekly.
Because
oh yeah, I see what you're saying.
well, yes, but we had the yearly.
I see.
Because you gave the people what they want. It's that simple. It's never been anything more than this. You give the people what they've already showed you they're interested in. You just give them a little more of it. And guess what? You're probably going to make some fucking money. Probably. There's a good chance.
Yeah.
But instead, we have to constantly try and reinvent the wheel. We have to constantly make these characters unlikable and just all sorts of detestable. And then we get all Pikachu faced when we don't make money. Like, oh, why didn't the Marvels make money? These characters are great. No, they're not. They could have been, but you chose not to make them great. You made that decision to do this.
That's true.
And now look what you've got.
Yeah. And I'm completely shocked that Waitress the musical only made $3 million. Yeah. But look at this though.
God.
Trolls it made more money than Marvel. Trolls.
That's right.
Stupid little
Trolls.
troll movie made more money
That's
than
right.
Marvel. Are you kidding me?
Another brand movie, which they did and they made into this, basically. And all of that, again, just reinforces my point. People have proven that the Trolls brand, the little troll doll thingies, is a moneymaker. People love them.
Always
I don't
was.
know why, but they do.
Yeah.
Always will be. So
Stupid
guess what they
little
did?
things.
They made a movie that looks like the Trolls. I know. That's a crazy idea. I mean, we've only been doing this since, I don't know, at minimum the 80s with the Transformers stuff. Maybe we should just keep doing what works, Hollywood is. My overarching point of everything I'm saying, do what works. The market is screaming at you what it wants, and you keep being like, we can't figure it out. It's a mystery. Fucking idiots. God. I don't like dumb people, Chester. I don't like them. And there's just so many of them.
No, there are. And I will definitely be checking this movie out because I do love me some Ghibli.
Good time.
It is good. My favorite is Mononoke Hime or Princess Mononoke. But
that's my wife's favorite too, actually. That's
a
funny.
great movie.
Yep.
Even though he's definitely a perv. Without question, he's a perv. But
Probably he's Japanese. Americans just kind of expect it. We're
That's
like, yeah, he's a Japanese guy making things. He's probably into weird shit. It's just how it is.
so it looks
We don't
like
make the rules.
well, the interesting thing about this is Miyazaki tends to like to take Western ideas, stories, and turn them into his movies. There are a couple that aren't, of course. Princess Mononoke is very Japanese. It's like Kamakura era setting, and of course Sento Chihiro, or what do they call Sento Chihiro in the West?
I don't know. I'm the wrong person to ask. I don't know much about the
Sento
old
Chihiro.
Ghiblis.
Spirited Away. That's what they call it.
Yes. Spirited Away. Yes, that is a huge one over here too. Huge.
Yeah. Well,
Oh,
I mean, I get the name and it's fine, but the Japanese name is actually a lot more appropriate because Sento Chihiro. Because if you've seen that movie, spoilers, she's trying to save her parents, and she is tricked by an old witch, who owns an onsen or bathhouse, and she signs a contract, and her name is Sen Chihiro or Chihiro Sen or one or the
Hmm.
other, and the part of the being able to keep her forever is get her to forget who she is. So the witch takes a piece of her name away from her signature, and therefore
Mm,
I will just call you Sen, right? So Sen, to means and, Chihiro. So Sen and Chihiro, it's the same girl, but it's the two aspects of what's happening to her, right?
gotcha. Interesting.
Spirited away doesn't really make
Is
sense because she's not actually spirited away. She put herself in that situation.
is obviously you probably don't know, but what is this dude with the big nose here? Is that
He's
supposed to be a
probably
tech?
some kind of yokai, I would imagine.
Yeah, it's
So
interesting
like a
looking character.
fairy, Japanese
Yeah,
version,
yeah.
because this right here, I definitely see a Western house in the back. A little girl's dressed like a Westerner.
Mm,
And but yet I see down here with the old ladies, these are definitely Japanese people. So maybe
mm,
this is Meiji period or late Meiji, maybe Showa, where Japan's going Western, but it also has a lot of the kind of holdovers for old Japan. Maybe, I don't know. Or they could just be the
could be.
yokai. I haven't seen it. I have to watch. I will watch it, of course, because it's Ghibli, and my wife will insist upon it. But nevertheless, so yeah, this
I saw that headline.
yeah, bombing hard, dude. You go as if a gay black Doctor Who
uh,
wouldn't be successful. That's true. Now I don't. I'm kind of run out of time here, but I think that's the last bit I had for today. Yeah, no, we'll get into the things we were chatting about. But I did have this one thing here, and I don't care about this particular story, but I've been hearing a lot of rumbling noise about GTA 6, and I don't know what it is. I haven't been. I've been busy. Grimlock, do you have any idea what the whole hubbubaloo about GTA 6 is? Is
oh,
Grimlock?
is he here? He's here. He's muted. Um,
Oh, do you know?
well, they dropped the trailer for it. First
Yeah.
trailer.
Okay.
Somebody leaked it. It was supposed to be dropped actually on my birthday last week, but they leaked it, and it came out the day before. So that's where it is. This particular thing is they use this guy's face kind of as a reference to him, and he's very upset about it, threatening to sue them for not paying him for his likeness.
Well, fair enough.
Uh, and but yeah, that's where the rumblings are coming from. The first trailer came out. It is going to be a female and male protagonist, and it looks like from the way the trailer's laid out and the song that they use, it's going to be a love story, and like a Bonnie and Clyde type thing.
All right.
And that could work fine, I guess, but I don't want it. I don't want a love story in GTA, man. It just kind of cheapens it for me. What GTA was one of the only franchises that just stayed away from all of that. It never there was no romance options really. I mean, yeah, you could date people and screw them or whatever, but it wasn't like part of the narrative, if that makes sense.
No, I
Uh,
guess I never played the game series, so
so it just kind of for me, it just kind of I don't know. It's a detraction in for me personally. And I'm sure it's going to probably be fine as long as they don't make her insufferable, which that'll the time will tell that.
hmm
But there's other things that GTA is notorious for. It's one of the only American game franchises that embraces, tangentially anyway, sex. Meaning, there's the mini game where you can pick up a hooker and bang her, and in most of the GTA games, when you do that, it refills your health. That's one of the ways to get health back. Uh,
interesting.
Stuff like that. There's strip clubs in GTA 5 that you can go to and just get a lap dance and stuff in the game and all that stuff. They're probably going to have to shy away from that, I would imagine, if you're going to make a love story about a couple, right? You're not going to probably take your, most likely, I don't know, maybe not, maybe she's down, who knows? you're probably not going to be hitting up hookers too
Right.
often
Well,
if in that scenario.
I didn't know about those things, but I kind of always had heard, or from the reviews and stuff, I saw that GTA was kind of a sandbox game, like a
Yeah,
giant sandbox game,
yeah.
right?
Well, it wasn't. It has a narrative and a main story and side stories and things you can go do. But by and large, you can just pretty much in most of them hop in and just go do stuff. Like, what do you want to do? You want to
Right.
go shoot up a store? You want to go do a car chase? You want to go blow up a bunch of cars? You want to rob a store? You want to fly a plane? Whatever, right? There's all sorts of things you can do. Um, but yeah, there's still storylines and things in there.
Oh, I
So
see. Yeah, no, I
yeah.
never played it because although it sounds like a type of game I might enjoy, maybe, but I
Mhm.
didn't bring it into the house because I have kids. So
Yeah. Well, it's definitely a game. It earns its M rating. Let's put it that way.
yeah, it's not.
It
I
earns
know.
that top rating. Um, but no, that's what I'm worried about. Like, it's not because I don't. I've wanted a female protagonist in GTA for years. I've always thought that it could be cool
Hmm.
on one condition. GTA protagonists are either blank slates that you can fill in their personality yourself. They're just that's what they're designed as, so you can just sandbox them, or they're complete pieces of shit, complete pieces of shit, and you're just stuck playing as them. So in GTA 5, for instance, there's actually three protagonists. There's Franklin, who is the blank slate. He's a black guy from the hood. There's Michael, who is a guy in his like mid to late 40s, who's a family guy, and there's some backstory to that. He's a career criminal up until recently. And then there's a guy named Trevor. And Trevor is a complete piece of human shit. Like, I'm not being facetious. He is every possible bad thing you can be. He's probably done it or, facilitated it in some way. He is not a good person by any stretch of the imagination. He's an utter psychopath. And there's literally a mini game you can do where there's these little parts on the map where you can go do what's called rampage challenges, where it's just him going insane and you just kill scores of people, just litanies of people. Uh, so he's a complete and utter monster, basically, Trevor is. So if they're going to do a chick, I want her to be that. I want her to be basically irredeemable, like that level of a bad person for your main character or one of your main characters. Because if you make her anything other than that, it's gonna it to me. I just don't think they're gonna be able to resist the pull to make her either a Mary Sue or make her one of these insufferable bullshit female protagonists we've been dealing with for the last decade or so.
So
Um, yeah, go ahead.
so you can't you can't make your own character.
No,
Huh.
no. GTA, it's not a role playing game. It's an action game, open world action game. Now there are some like RPG elements to some of the games, like there's like skills you can level up, but by and large they're just superfluous. They do very little, or at least the game still basically plays the same. They might make you a little bit better, but it's not a
Yeah.
huge deal.
Well, I wouldn't have
Um,
liked it anyway then, because I don't
yeah,
like
no, it's
playing
not an
their
RPG.
character. I want to make my own character.
Yeah, no, you play the character they give you. Now in like GTA 3, and in even in GTA 4 to some degree, a lot of the two characters there are fairly blank slate, but you don't get to make your own character. Now, if you play GTA 5's GTA Online mode, you make your own character, and that is a pure sandbox. There are like storyline missions you can play, but those are just to make money so you can buy shit in the sandbox. It's all for
That's
fun.
like an MMO.
Um,
I see.
yeah, yeah, it literally is. That's why it's been so many years since they put out a new GTA. They've been releasing packs and expansions and things for GTA Online this whole time, and they're just raking in money. They're just
Sure.
shredding in the money like nobody's business.
Well,
So
Rockstar
they have
makes
no,
good money.
yeah, they had no reason. They're like, we'll just keep making money on GTA 5. Fuck it. Why make a new game? People keep buying
But
this one. Why make a new one?
I also heard though, I didn't. I saw some little comment on it that the urbanites are upset
Uh oh.
about
What are they
something.
upset about now?
I don't know. That's why I asked.
I don't. I haven't heard it.
Grimlock,
Um,
your people are screaming. Repression. Did we lose Grimlock?
we must have.
Yeah.
We must have. He's been muted for a minute here.
Chat. Do you know chat?
Yeah, I don't know.
What's all the hubbub on the The black people seem to be upset. Black Twitter is upset about something. I don't
I
know.
bet you it's because neither one of the characters is black. So we have Lucia, who is clearly some form of Hispanic or Cuban or something.
Well, it's in
It's
Miami,
based in
so
it's in Miami, yeah. So that
of
makes
course it's
sense.
going to be
And then the
Cuban.
other one, his name I think is Jason. Is the guy we assume is her lover. Um, and he looks like a white boy. So I bet you that's what it is. How dare they have no black character? Because GTA 5, Franklin was kind of the main protagonist of the three, and
Hmm.
he was black.
Oh, I see. Well, it depends on
Yeah.
the city, right? What city were they in?
Basically LA.
Yeah, you could go black protagonist there. Sure.
Hmm.
Miami, I don't know. It's a mainly Latino place. I mean, it was literally built by a bunch of rich New Yorkers to be a copy of Havana and the
Yeah.
Latin world. That's what they built it for. People don't realize
No,
Miami's a very new city.
it makes perfect sense to me if they were going to do a chick, and if they wanted a Hispanic chick, but they call it Vice City. That's what their Miami is called. That should just be Vice City. That makes perfect sense. Like that all checks out. Yeah. See,
Yeah,
it
no,
looks to me like they're going with from
she
this
looks
art.
Latina. He looks Polish.
Yeah, from this art, it looks like we're getting Bonnie and Clyde. And that could be
Okay,
cool. If
could
if
be.
if Rockstar brings their A game like they did in Red Dead Redemption 2, they might tell an unbelievable story that everybody loves. They might do it. I'm just chick protagonist. They got us gun shy, Chester. The entire world does because they've been fucking it up for a decade and a
That's
half
true.
now. Uh-oh.
Well, I know there was some controversy going in. Okay, here we go.
I have returned. Sorry about that. I had a phone call.
Well, I'm trying to understand why people are upset about GTA 6. The black peoples are
Um,
your peoples are upset.
Partly because people just look for everything to bitch about. Part of it,
Okay.
if you watch the trailer,
Hmm.
the main takeaway you take of that trailer, because it really is not showing anything as far as gameplay. It's like it's a little basically it's a trailer. It is what it is. The trailer is leaning into the Florida man meme, and it's leaning in pretty hard. Like every meme you've probably every joke, every weird news story you've heard about Florida
Yeah.
in the last decade shows up in this trailer,
What would black people
which is
upset about
incredible.
that? Florida man's image is a white dude.
No,
Dumbass
they
white
got Black
guys.
Florida. No, oh no, they got Black Florida man too.
No,
Yeah,
do
we've
they?
seen Black Florida Man too.
Well,
Because
It's a diverse paradise down there.
one thing people don't understand about Florida. Florida is kind of like that is kind of like New York and California, where
Mhm.
a lot of people. It's a place a lot of people go, but there's something. Maybe it's because it's closer to the equator or whatever, but it just seems to have a gravitational pull of all the crazy people in the United States all seem to gather in Florida. It's like it
mm,
don't matter where the fuck they were born. If they was a couple sandwiches shy of a picnic, they end up in Florida.
yeah, fair enough.
Um,
That's fair enough.
Moss
But
to a flame.
but I mean, because I understand that you're playing a gangster, you're playing the bad guy in GTA.
Yes.
well,
And Miami's kind of a perfect place. It's a disgusting city. Have you ever seen it?
well,
Food's
okay.
good.
So
Food's good, but
so in the,
it's
so in
disgusting.
so in the clip, one of the parts in the trailer, and I know Thundaro's seen it, is they have
Yep.
a video of a black girl twerking on a car while it's driving down the highway.
Yeah, well, Miami.
That is some, but that is something that was actually recorded on video. That was not too long ago on World Star. So it's not like it's something that's being made up. And it's usually the same professional bedwetters that are looking for everything and
I
anything
see.
to bitch about. It's like, first of all, as Thundaro has I think stated before, if you're playing the Grand Theft Auto,
Yep.
you're playing that game under the pretense that there is no good guy in that
That's right.
game. There is almost nobody you run into in a GTA that is a complete good. Everything is somewhere between Gray and Trevor.
And Trevor.
Oh, yeah, that's how you do it. It's somewhere between Gray and Trevor. So, so
Let
being
me let me let
upset.
me give Chester a real quick, perfect analogy for Trevor's character. So basically, Trevor is the Joker, but he's a complete degenerate. So
Oh,
like,
okay.
think of the Joker, but a complete degenerate. Like, there's no rules. He'll do anything, but he's just white trash as you get. It doesn't get any more white trash than Trevor.
Makes sense.
Okay, go ahead. Sorry.
Yeah.
Well,
So in a game
well, the thing
like
is,
that,
Grimlock, I've been to Miami,
yeah.
and it's a cesspool. I mean,
Yeah.
there are some good family people there and about, I am sure. Plenty of nice Cubans for sure, but it's a cesspool, dude. I
Yeah.
mean, if you want that stereotypical whore girl, I mean, it's just this flat up whore, right? Straight up. That's Miami, dude.
Well, have you ever seen the documentary Cocaine Cowboys?
No.
It's actually a pretty good documentary. If you, but it's basically about the drug trade
Oh
of
yeah.
Miami in the late '70s, early
Oh
'80s,
yeah. No. Yeah.
which, not surprisingly, you know, a good bit of Grand Theft Auto Vice City was based on. Was that? So I kind of hate it. I hate hearing people because it's like nobody in GTA is good. There's no good people. There's no good white people. There's no good black people. There's no good Asian people. Everybody in there is somewhere between a shade of gray and Trevor.
Yeah. Well, no.
That's
I
that,
I always understood that
and
you're playing a
that's
gangster.
why people play that game. That's the appeal. So all these activist groups, we've already seen. The typical, like I said, the typical bedwetters, the local news channels. They was probably anticipating the trailer more than we were, so they could have something to bitch about.
Oh, I see. Okay. So
It's true. It's true. I
basically,
And
they're
recommend
complaining
Chester.
about the degenerates of Miami being portrayed as degenerates.
That's correct.
yeah,
Yes,
Oh, okay. I
that's
got
right.
it.
Heaven forbid.
yeah,
Heaven forbid we actually look at American
it,
culture with
it's
a critical lens, an actual critical eye, and see it for what it is. There's a lot
you
of
know it
degeneracy in this
you
country.
know
Oh, there is.
it,
Yeah,
it,
it's
it,
out of
it
control.
it's the same thing as what happened with the Simpsons, them bitching about a poo. Oh, well, poo's a satire and a stereotype. Oh, and a show about satires and stereotypes. Oh, fuck me, you poor
Yep.
thing.
Yeah, no, the whole point of it, yeah. But this is a crazy ass statement, but because it's the truth, but I don't like the truth. Sometimes we don't like the truth. Sometimes the truth is a
It's
hard
true.
pill, right? But the simple fact of the matter is, back when Elvis came out and the
Yeah.
absolute onslaught and pushback against him sexualizing music and putting it on stage in front of young girls, they were right.
Yep.
They were right. How horrible that truth is. Because I
It-
don't like the stodgy Protestant take on things. I'm not out of control myself, but I am a libertarian at heart, right? Uh,
Mm.
but but they were right. Yeah,
mm,
Somebody's
isn't
got
that
to trim
sad,
the
dude?
hedges.
Yeah.
Yep.
mm,
Somebody's got to empty the latrine. And unfortunately, those people are usually the people, or in this case, culturally, are the people who have to say the things that people don't want to hear. Because
Yeah.
everybody wants to hear you can do whatever you want. Freedom is always popular. But occasionally, the people are like, well, sure, you can, but you shouldn't.
Yeah. No, I mean,
They're the ones who get demonized in ways that are, well, completely illogical and irrational because they're not trying to force you. Well, some of them evangelicals were, let's be fair, but most of them aren't trying to force you. They're just telling you, hey, don't do that. It's not good for you. Just don't
yeah,
do it.
no, that's true.
Don't do it.
But I mean, if we look at how far it's fallen, because Elvis was really mild thing. But they were
Yep.
right because if we look at the degeneracy today in America and in the West in general, but America is the most degenerate country on earth. Um, it's way past the pale, dude. It's way past. I
Yeah.
saw this little video. My wife was watching some. Yeah, it looked like basically a collection of little TikTok things on a YouTube video, and she was watching it. And it was basically these two black dudes that were going around asking people questions, showing how dumb these women are, and some guys too. But also, they were two black guys that clearly didn't like the degenerate state of things, and they were trying to point it out, right? And that's what she was watching. And there was one little scene that struck me, and I remember it very. I remember it, even though this was a couple of years ago, I think.
Yep.
This girl was talking with her friends, and her dad was with her for some reason. And these guys were asking the questions, and they said, talk about how many boyfriends you've had, how many lovers have you had, right? And this one girl looked like a normal little girl next door. She didn't look like a whore, right? She didn't want to answer, and they said, "Well, is it more than 10?" She said yes. Was it more than 20? No. Is it less than 20? Yes. And her dad is mortified, standing behind her, and she notices it. She turns around. She says, "Oh, no, it's definitely nowhere near 20," as if this is helping, because we already
Yes.
established it's over 10, which makes you
Yeah.
a freaking slut. That
Yeah.
makes you a slut. I'm sorry, dear. 5 or 6 is where you're really getting into that territory,
Yeah.
right? You're already in that territory at half that number, right? But the
Yeah.
father was so
Especially at your
mortified.
age. Yeah. Like a 40-year-old woman, maybe, yeah, okay, fine. But when you're in your early 20s or whatever, late teens, you already have 15 bodies. What the hell?
And she
First
was
of all, where do you
young.
find
She was
time?
young. She was young.
Where are you finding
Now,
that kind of time to find that much dick? Let's start there. And second of
yeah,
all, what the hell?
what the
Close your
hell?
legs, sweetheart.
But I mean, and it's like I don't have any room to speak because I was an absolute slut when I was young, right?
Yeah.
I certainly had more than 20 girls. But I'm older now, and I realize that probably wasn't the right way to go. Right, I wasted a lot of time, really. But
Yeah.
I'm a person that doesn't take regret because I'm very happy and comfortable where I am. And if I regret something, then I wouldn't be here. So I don't take that. However, I recognize that it probably wasn't the best thing to do. Although, to be fair, I am a child of the '80s,
Mm.
and it is what it is. And I think today is very similar to the '80s in that regard. But yeah, things are way, way, way out of control, dude. Way
Yeah,
out
I
of
agree.
control, you know?
Well, and that's kind of to some level because GTA is very satirical, right? It's very tongue in cheek, right? They're not. It's
It
not
would
a. It's
have
not
to be.
typically a.
It
Yeah,
can't
yeah,
be
yeah. It's not
serious. I
typically
mean,
a
come on.
serious take on things. Now, I'm not saying it doesn't have its serious stuff in there. It does, but by and large, it's very much in jest, and everybody understands that. At least I hope everybody understands that that's playing it. This is supposed to be a parody, if you will, of American hyper American culture,
Yeah.
the hyper consumerism, the hyper patriotism, the gun culture, all of it. They take it and they take it up to 30 basically. They crank it way up. That's the point of it. It's supposed to be a critical lens on the way the American and broadly Western culture operates. It's not supposed to be so staunchly serious and like we're doing something. We're trying to portray some kind of moral message here, and that's what I think for me, the only thing I'm worried about, I'm worried that they're going to forget what they are. GTA has been like, when The Simpsons and I'll use South Park as a better example. South Park has never forgotten who they are or what they are. They've just never done it. In all this time, Matt and Trey have been able to keep their eye on the prize of who they are and what they want to, and the kind of comedy they want to, make.
Yeah.
It's satirical as hell, right? It's
Yeah. And they
very
bust
much over the
everybody's chops equally.
everybody, and that's what made GTA great. Nobody was safe. Everybody's balls was getting busted in
Mhm.
American pop culture. It didn't matter. There was an analog for you in most GTA shit, and it was probably pretty brutal and pretty over the top. That's the point. So I think one of the things people miss is that like Red Dead Redemption 2, which for my money is still the best game ever made. Best game ever made. Story's phenomenal. The gameplay's phenomenal. It just hits on all cylinders, right? But even though it's a Rockstar game and there's some potential that it's in the same universe, Red Dead Redemption is a much more serious take on the time period. Whereas GTA is always supposed to be kind of like an 80s action movie version of reality, if
Yeah,
that makes
I
sense.
get that. I get that. I'm
Yeah.
surprised it took them so long to get to Miami, though.
No,
From
they've been to
the
Miami before.
Oh,
They've
have
been to
they?
Miami
Yeah,
Okay,
before.
okay, okay.
this
Yeah.
is their return
This is the
This is the
return.
second
to
one.
like
Makes sense because
Yeah.
I mean, honestly, Miami's probably the most degenerate city in America, as far as my
Probably.
experience in Miami. And I mean, shit, I've been to Pattaya, and
Yeah.
Pattaya in Thailand is like a Protestant revival in comparison.
Yeah. No, Miami's a party city. It's a party
It
town
is
where
out of control. Yeah,
the
and
rich
not
and the
L.A. is.
talented go to party.
Yeah, no,
That's where
even
they go.
Las Vegas isn't close.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah. Well,
I was
Vegas is
shocked.
largely. I mean, people don't want to hear it, but it's true. A lot of Vegas is for people who are older, and
Yeah,
it's
no, it
for
is.
people. Yeah,
Vegas is
that's
for
what it's for.
your mom and dad, maybe
Yeah.
families. That whole what happens in Vegas stays in Vegas. That's kind of way
It's
back,
good marketing.
way back.
It's good,
Uh,
good marketing,
I
but
suppose it
yeah,
is.
it's just
Yeah, but no, I was
no.
really
Miami's a
shocked
party town.
with
Yeah.
Miami. And I was a younger man when I was there too, but I was shocked at how absolutely debauched it is. And
Yeah.
because I didn't
Well,
expect
it's
it,
the
I expected it mainly to be a bunch of conservative Cubans, right? I don't.
well,
They must
that's the
be there
thing. That's what I was
somewhere.
going to say. No, they are. The Latino culture is it has a very strong conservative streak, but it also has and just gonna call it what it is, the brown people's degeneracy in it.
What is the
These
brown people's
white
degeneracy?
people are are typically the prudish people in the world, right?
Man, that's true.
By and large. And except for, certain places, maybe the Middle East or whatever, but that's an anomaly. Pretty much all the other brown groups of people are far more sexual, far more sensual people than your average white person is. It's
So
just
we're
it's just the
not
reality.
counting the Germans, right?
Well, listen, they're Germans. They're barely even white
That's
themselves.
fair.
They're crazy.
That's fair.
Uh,
Yeah.
yes, we're not. But even theirs, while it is more overt than ours, obviously, even theirs is still very proper. If you
It's the
catch my meaning, like
Protestants. It's the Protestants, is
yes,
what it is. Yeah, the
yes.
Lutherans.
And my point is the Cubans still have that Latino fire in them, and they still like tough talk. They love it. They're big fans of the sex. So you'll have a lot more sexualized energy in a place where there's a lot of them. It just
I
makes sense,
I
right?
do too. Am I, because I'm white? Am I now banned?
You're not allowed.
yeah.
I'm
We're
not
cutting you
allowed.
off. You even
Damn it.
said you've had too much. We're cutting you off for your own good, Chester.
Fine.
No, because like Japan, for instance, Japan is a very it's not an anti-sexual culture, but
No,
it keeps it in its place, from what I understand. Right?
it
It's not in
does.
your face all the time. It's where it
No,
belongs in private.
unless you
And
come home from a festival and find a naked girl in your futon.
yes, I would say a lot of European and especially white American culture is very. I hate to use this term because the left has misused it and abused it, but it's very repressive when it comes to
Yeah, no, the
sexuality.
Protestants, dude. That's their
Yeah,
thing. That's their whole thing. They don't like the
yeah.
sexes.
They keep that. They keep that. Listen, sex is bad. Okay, all right. Sex is bad. Okay.
Fair
So
enough. Yeah.
no, and that's one of the main things that I veer off of from a lot of the wasp in my purview. I just never understood the big deal. It's just sex. Humans been doing it since
Hmm.
forever, and pretty much every human does some form of it at some point in their life. Uh,
Yeah, it's a
why we
pretty
freaking out
normal
about it?
thing. But
Yeah, it's pretty
you
normal.
do need to have a little bit of sensibility and conservatism in you.
I think
Uh,
honestly, I think Japan largely does it correctly. I think they're very from everything I've heard from you and from other people, especially other white people. Uh, it's a sexual culture, but it's not in your face,
Not at
right?
all.
If
No,
they
that
don't,
would be
yeah,
considerably rude. Yeah,
yeah. That's my point. Is
that
that's what you're
form
getting at?
a
Is
faux
it's
pas.
decorum? Have some damn
Yeah,
decorum.
it's
Is
decorum.
all we're asking for.
That's
You
true.
can be as degenerate as you want. Fuck anybody you want. I don't care. But can you not show me it? I don't want to see it. I don't want to hear it. I don't want to think about it. Have some decorum. Is all we're asking
Yeah,
for.
that's fair.
And
That's
I
fair.
don't think that's unreasonable.
And Miami doesn't have that.
No.
Nevertheless, I am way past my time, so I need to go. Grimlock, would you like to
You're
say something
saying
to the peoples?
you're saying it's uncouth to see somebody dry hump their teddy bears at your local Denny's. That's what you're telling me.
I'm
Yeah,
telling you that. Yes,
that's
that
not
is
what we
what I'm
need.
telling you.
Well, for a lot of people, they're just hearing that for the very first time.
Wow. Yeah, that's definitely inappropriate. Yeah. So
I
that's your
love it.
statement. Fine. Take us out of here,
That's it.
Thunder.
That's all he's got. Don't hump the teddy
Yes,
bears at
yes.
Denny's. That's what he's bringing.
Don't. If you're gonna molest your teddy bear, please do it at home, where you can at least put him in the washing machine so
Poor
he can
teddy
wash away
bear.
his pain.
I've been thinking about this one, Chester, and I like it. I'm going to use it right now. What good have you done? What good have you done breaking two hearts to mend one?
Disney.
No, I'm better than
Later.
Disney ever thought about being.
That's true. Later, everybody.